By the way, are you coming to Laircon 2022? I'll be there, and so will several of my DM Lair team members. This year, Laircon takes place in Pensacola, Florida on October 7th, 8th, and 9th. We'll have D&D games, other RPG and tabletop games, workshops, and panels. And every game master who runs at least one RPG game at the con gets an exclusive Laircon 2022 GM t-shirt. So please come hang out with me and my crew, and maybe even play in a game of D&D with us. You can learn more and purchase passes at the link below.
Oh, cool. That went faster than I thought. Hello, what's up? How you guys doing? Ready for some fun? Kelly Penders, hello. Yes, we have gone. We're gone. We're just gone. Josue, what's up, dude? ¿Qué onda? I don't know if you speak Spanish. If you don't, and I offended you, I'm sorry. But I speak Spanish, so I'm gonna. When I see a name Josue and you have an accent mark at the end, I'm gonna assume certain things. I apologize if I assumed your language. Is that a thing? Can I get in trouble for that? I probably can. You could get in trouble for almost anything these days online. So many eggshells you can't step on. Joshua Beatum, what's up, dude? Sarah Stoke, what's up? Is there anybody here following the scandal in professional chess? Not it, but I don't follow almost anything, so don't take it personally. Matthew, yes, there's always bacon. William Rabe, what up, dude? Fenrir, hello. Mr. Putz, what up, Mr. Putz? Puerto Rico, oh, sweet, dude. That's awesome. I spent 4 years in Central America. I met my wife down there. It's cool. Quinton, hello, longtime fan, first time checking in live. Sweet, welcome to the check-in. I mean, Penguin Butt has something for you, right? Is Penguin Butt here? I see Goliath Cleric. My cat is biting my leg already. It's off to a great start tonight. Joshua beat him. Luke got my last name right. Yeah, beat him. Dude, your last name has to do with physical violence. How can I not get it correct? Like, I am a man of violence. I love fighting sports. I did like martial arts and jiu-jitsu and like Muay Thai and bunches of bullcrap. So yeah, if your name has to do with beating the crap out of people in a fun way full of camaraderie and lots of love, then yes, beat 'em. I'm all over that. Night Owl, hello. You're an instructor for Taekwondo? Cool. I have my... Oh, I'm going to show you something. It's on my wall. I'm going to take it down. Oh, baby. Baby. Oh, yeah. I'm going to show you something. This does not mean we're starting the stream. I'm just showing you something. Right there. Right there, baby. Check that out. I got this in 2014. Yeah. I'm just showing you that. I thought you'd be interested. I'm actually a second dan now, but I haven't done anything with Taekwondo in forever. I think what killed me on studying Taekwondo is when I learned that most of it is almost completely inapplicable to actual physical confrontations. And once I learned that, I was like, crap, why am I doing this? And that's when I really got more into stuff that's probably more useful. But then I learned how to shoot guns and stuff, and I was like, this works too. So I have like pepper spray and a knife and crap. I don't know. All right, this is the type of thing I probably should not talk about because it'll get me in trouble. People are like, Luke's a horrible person. Look at him. Yeah, sorry. So Luke is officially a monk? I don't think I would say that. Wouldn't say that. I actually love grappling and jiu-jitsu. I love it. It's so much fun. What's the Arnold Schwarzenegger book on your shelf? You almost got me. We have not started the stream yet. I can't answer that question. Box, I don't know. It's hard. I love jiu-jitsu. I think it's a lot of fun. I loved Muay Thai too. I thought that was tons of fun. Does a gun qualify as a monk weapon? Yes. Sounds like Taekwondo is slightly more useful than karate. They're really so similar. They're so crazy similar. They really are. I feel like Taekwondo probably emphasizes kicking a lot more, but the punches are, I mean, they only teach one basic punch really. Wrestling is the best sport. I mean, if you're looking at sports, wrestling is amazing as far as like, not professional wrestling, not like WWF wrestling or WWE. That's acting. Like, but actual wrestling, oh my gosh, dude. When you actually are in hand-to-hand combat wrestling somebody, or jiu-jitsu, which is very similar, there are big differences, but you know, when you're actually moving somebody else's body weight around, even if they're smaller than you, dude, that is physical exertion. You've never worked so hard in your life when you're wrestling somebody or when you're rolling with somebody in jiu-jitsu. It is absolutely crazy. It is so, and it's fun too. Oh my gosh, it's fun. I would lose well, it depends. It depends on who I was going up against, but when I was going up against most people, I'd lose almost all the time. I would just lose, you know? But it was still tons of fun. I loved it. It was just awesome. I'd learn moves. Some guy would do something crazy to me and I'd be like, holy crap, how'd you do that? And he's like, I'll show you. And then I'd be like, oh, sweet. And then I'd start doing it, you know? I could pick the stuff up pretty quickly once I was shown a technique. I was like, oh, okay, that's not that bad. I can figure it out, you know? Oh, but I lost a lot. It was fun though. I loved it. It was crazy fun. I had to stop in part because I have a really bad shoulder, and my shoulders, after every jiu-jitsu class, my shoulders were just on fire. And then for days afterwards, my shoulders were destroyed. And this was like years ago. And I was like, dude, I'm gonna like really hurt myself if I keep doing this. I have to like not do this or something. So I don't know. I don't know. I need just like to do private lessons. I just want to roll like once a week or something. That'd be so much fun. Grappling is amazing. It's the best workout you will ever have in your life. Is rolling, wrestling, or jiu-jitsu with somebody. You will never get a better workout. It is amazing. Yeah, Squeaky's biting my leg already. You guys want to start this? Want to start this shindig? Let's do it. Squeaky, I swear. There you go. He runs off. I had to swear at him, and then he runs off. All right, here we go. Here's the fancy start. Oh, I can't find the button. Yes, I had to stop when I took an arrow to the knee. Yes, thank you. Absolutely. My knees, I don't have great knees, but they weren't that bad. It was really my left shoulder. My left shoulder is a mess. So I had to, yeah, I hated it. But I don't know. Maybe I always think about, oh, I should go try to find a jiu-jitsu class. I'd love to do that again. The thing is that I hated the jiu-jitsu uniforms. Like the gis you have to wear. Like Taekwondo gis and karate gis that's not a problem. It's not a big deal. But jiu-jitsu gis are a lot thicker and heavier most of the time because they have to be sturdier for pulling and grabbing. Otherwise they can rip. And so the gis, man, were so hot and uncomfortable, and they were stiff. And I know that's probably because it was a new one and it had to get broken in and crap, but those gis were so uncomfortable. I hated wearing those gis. I really just want to do jiu-jitsu in street clothes. And they do have non-gi classes and stuff like that, but they always wanted to do the gi and stuff because they were big. The school I was going to was big into competitions, it seemed like. So they always wanted to do gis. And I was like, I don't want to roll in a gi, dude. This sucks. I want to roll in street clothes. You know, that's the most applicable. I don't know. I don't know. It was more comfortable. My coffee cam? Holy crap. I forgot to set up my coffee cam. Hold on a second. I'm going to fix my coffee cam. There you go. Bear with me, folks. This is a rough start to a stream. Gotta fix my camera. I should have like a technical difficulties screen that I can go to when I screw something up and I forget to do something like I should have. Oh, I totally forgot to set this camera up like in every way possible. So now my color balance is going to be off. I'm going to have to fix that. My contrast and stuff is all going to be off. So give me a hot second. You see, most of the time I have my coffee cam on this thing so that I can be in meetings and look straight ahead and people can see me, you know, because I have like 3 cameras here. But when I'm streaming, shut up, little guy. Shut up. When I'm streaming, I set it up here so it points at my desktop. There we go. But the color balance is all off. So give me a hot second. I need to adjust the color balance on it. We are really doing well here today. All right, let's do the color balance first, and then that's okay-ish, I suppose. Adjust the focus, the exposure, and then the gain. Let's get that about right. That's probably okay. All right. Okay, cool. There we go. There we go. I have adjusted it. I think we're ready to go. Okay, let's pretend that never happened. Will you stop, you little turd? He's under my keyboard getting tangled up in the cords. Wants me to rub his belly. I'm not rubbing his belly. All right, welcome to the live stream, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be answering your questions tonight. I see people already throwing questions. We're getting them in the spreadsheet. No need to spam. Throw a question. My moderators will put it in the spreadsheet. It's a beautiful, wonderful system that we have. We have Penguin Butt in the house and some other moderators. I saw Goliath Cleric. They have big hammers. They like to swing them. So just be nice and friendly and loving to everybody here, and we'll all get along and be a big family. So we have some things going on. We always have a giveaway like every live stream. So if you want to get some free crap, join the giveaway. There's a link probably. If the bot is working tonight, there will be a link in the chat where you can get in on the giveaway. It's a D&D book of your choice, or store credit on the DM Lair store, where we have lots of cool crap for you. It's really cool crap too. It's not the crappy crap that most stores have. I don't know. So we got that going on. We are trying to raise money for the Humane Society, Capillary Humane Society. They do a whole bunch of stuff to support dogs and cats. They have a low-cost spay and neuter clinic. They have trucks that go down south where there are down south in the US here, a lot of the dogs especially, they can't find homes for, and they get euthanized. And so the Capillary Humane Society near where I live sends trucks down south. They take a lot of these dogs that would ordinarily be euthanized, and they bring them up here to Michigan where it's much easier to find homes for them. And so they're doing lots of amazing things for our little doggies and our kitties and stuff. And so we're trying to raise some money for them. Our goal is 500. There's a bar right here that tracks it. We're almost there. We're literally just kind of just doot, 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 doot. So if you want to tip and help get us there, that would be awesome. And then I'm just gonna do a sleazy shout out. It's not too sleazy, but a shout out to my patrons because I love them. They are awesome, and I'm not saying that in any way in a jokey manner. These people are sweet. They help me do everything that I do. That first patron's name has kind of got some weird characters in it. I don't know how that happens. Everything doesn't translate properly over to Patreon, it looks like. Anyway, all these wonderful folks on the screen, they're my patrons and YouTube members, and they contribute monthly, and they help me do everything that I do. And when I say me, I really mean we. It's my team and I. Like, all of the stuff we do, all of our videos, all the live streams, the free resources we have. Like, if you don't know, we have 100% free Dungeon Master resources on our website, thedmlair.com. Adventures, traps, puzzles, monsters, we have everything over there 100% free that you can use in your games. So if you can't buy crap or you don't want to or whatever, you can go over there and get a bunch of free stuff too. So anyway, patrons help make that possible, so I love these dudes. And these folks right here pay me extra money to read their names out loud, which I'm really bad at doing and screw up all the time, but here we go. 5e Magic Shop, Alex the Ajax, see, there you go, I did the Ajax the Mini, Alex, Alex B, Alex T, Alexander H, Amanda W, Ambers, Amy P, Andrew M, Andrew U, Andy S, Andy W, Angelique K, Anthony B, Antoine B, Arrow Odd, Arutha, Ashley, Baldwin, Bardabear, Ben B, Benjamin P, Burncastle, Brandon, Brandon A, Carl C, Celestina K, Christopher G, Chris C, Christopher S, Clay, there's 2 Christopher S's, Clay W, Cody B, Contrary Gravy, Corey S, Daniel S, Derek E, Double D, Dog, Drexus, Dresna, Duty K, Dutch, Ed R, Edward L, M, Fabro, Eric B, Ericos, Erno N, Fabian H, Flame Black 200, Frost Brew, Gallus, Gene A, Goliath Cleric, Gravy Chorn, Harlan S, Heather L, Iggy, Iron Cascade, it's Bayoban, Izzy T, Jace F, Jackie Pizza, Jacob Jake L, Jacob K, James L, Jan F, Jeremy W, Jessica J, Jim P, Jimmy L, JM, Joan P, Joe D, Joe E, John A, John C, Jordan G, Joseph H, Josh R, Josh S, K, Kale S, KK, Keith L, Kevin F, Kezadies, Kirby, Kyle G, Kyle M, Labraworks, Leo Lionheart, Magn N, Marty M, Marwin B, Matt B, Matthew J, Michael L, Mirostal, Mitchell, Mr. Lincolnu, Mr. D, Ol S, Owen D, Penguin Butt, Published Author, Rachel H, Rachel S, Radiance Guardians, Ramus, Ramsey, Razlik, Race W, Renner C, Richard M, Ricky L, Robert C, Robert J, Robert, Ron, yes, Ron R, Ronald, Ryan, 2 Ryans, SG Sounders, Sakura, Sam B, Samuel R, SBC, Scott V, Shadow 1317, Shane L, Sheila A, Smash Loot Repeat, Snowy Tiggy, Son of a Sofa, Mansoul, Naya, Stephen J, or a G maybe, Stephen A, Stephen T, Stephen A, Silik R, Tactile Tokens, The 3 Quarters Hospital, The Old DM, The Pickle, fried pickles are delicious, by the way, The New Bad Hombre, Thomas F, Thomas T, Thora the Explorer, Tiger 500, Tim Black, Tim and K, Timothy D, Tom C, Traveling Cash Travels the Lost, Tyler R, Vlad, Valagor, Vincent G, Vladimir S, Volhoff V, William M, W, William C, William H, Worth a Lot, XX Redrum, Zachary J. Bam. There we go. I cracked that out. I only screwed it up several times. This is pretty cool. Yeah. Simpatico says, I'm pretty sure you're doing it poorly is half the appeal. Yes, people pay me extra money to say their names badly and mispronounce things. Eldor, what's up, dude? Welcome, man. All right, let's hit some questions here. A baity. This is getting spicy already. Luke, any opinions on the deleted Hadozi lore? No, I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. You all have fun with that. Debate it on Reddit and online and have fun. I'm going to keep my mouth shut so that I don't get in trouble or something. That's like one of those things where it's just like, you know what? You're better off not saying anything publicly about any opinions you might have about that because, you know, you just probably don't want to touch it. Like, you can't say anything right, dude. Just, nope, not touching it. Let's complain about D&D 1. Let's complain about being lied to about it being not a new edition. Let's complain about those things. Those are safer topics to talk about. Yeah. What's the Arnold Schwarzenegger book on your shelf? Yeah. Uh-oh, something just fell. Arnold Schwarzenegger, The Encyclopedia of a Modern Bodybuilder. It is a very old book. I would not put too much credit in anything you read in it because it's super based on knowledge at the time when it was written and stuff. And I think a lot of weightlifting, and especially if you're looking at bodybuilding and stuff, has changed and understandings have improved since then. But it's still a classic book, and it's got one of the big things in it is like a list of exercises. I think it has tons of different exercises in here and photos and stuff. I mean, it's cool. Everything should have a big grain of salt that you read from this thing. Oh, everything fell down. Okay, cool. Yes, bodybuilding has nothing to do with fitness. It's 0% to do with fitness. Like, no, it's not fitness. It's about, it's essentially about developing your physique in a way that is, how do I say this, attractive to a certain subset, or attractive to the judges and to the other people in that sport, is I guess how I would say. And it's not, I wouldn't even call it a sport. Bodybuilding is more like a pageant. It's really a pageant. It's not really a sport. When I think of sports, I think of things where there are scores and there's objective ways to score something. So soccer, if you score a goal, you score a goal, you get points. It's a sport, a team can win. Basketball, football, right? These are, but how do you score points? It's all subjective. It's very subjective, and you have judges that, subjectively score certain things. So it seems more like a pageant to me than an actual sport, in my opinion, because it's not objective. It's not objective at all, right? It's completely 100% subjective. And the whims and the what is viewed favorably, it changes from time to time, so I don't know. Feels like a pageant to me. So I wouldn't even call it a sport. I'm sure some people who are into it will take offense at that, but whatever. You're welcome to be offended. Everybody else is. Jason Coleman, thank you for the $10 super chat, dude. I appreciate that. Jason says, happy Wednesday, sir. No questions. Thank you for all the great work and advice. Nice teamwork on new cities material. A little something for the kiddies and your wife. Well, thank you, dude. I appreciate that. Yeah, the new cities thing was pretty cool. Just help people, like it happens, right? When you're a dungeon master and you need to make a city because your players are going to a city and you just don't know where to start. And so, hey, if we can give you some random tables that will just help you to make a city really quickly, either when you're prepping or, heaven forbid, when you're in a game session and you're like, holy crap, they're going to that town. I know nothing about that town. I need some quick details about that town. You can go to a random table and roll some dice and get some quick details and then give your players something. And it's almost like magic. They might not even notice that you did it. So yeah, that's just a cool resource to have under your, in your back pocket if something comes up, or to help you game prep. And that was in the issue of Lair magazine that came out last week. I think it came out last week. Yeah, that sounds about right. All right. I'm a new DM. I'm a new DM. How do and more people join my campaign? How do I encourage them to not make joke characters? I don't know. Kick them out if they're making joke characters. I don't. That's my Luke's gut response. Just kick them out. Don't do that. Look it. I think you're saying you have more and more people joining your campaign. Well, you have now earned the right to be selective. Pro tip, more people in your campaign does not make for a better campaign. In most cases, except for exceptional DMs, which I don't consider myself to be one of those, an exceptional DM can have tons of people in a game and a campaign, and it could be amazing. Most campaigns, there is an inverse relationship between the number of people in the campaign and the enjoyability of the campaign. And what I mean by inverse relationship is that as the number of people increases, the enjoyability decreases. More people means less fun, usually, because there is a magic number where everything is great and everybody gets to play the game and everybody is engaged and everybody has enough time to actually play. But once you get too many people, then there's not really enough to go around. There's not enough limelight to go around. People find themselves waiting a lot. It's not their turn and other people are doing things and they don't get to play as much. They find themselves talking to the guy next to them, having side conversations, getting distracted, going on their phones. There is a point at which you can have too many people and enjoyability decreases. This is a thing. This is the reason that 5 is my limit on games. I will not run games for more than 5 unless they are exceptional situations, like I'm running a special game for all of my moderators and 9 of them want to join. It's like, okay, I'll do it. But like, this is not going to be an ongoing campaign. So now, as far as people building joke characters, if I have somebody who comes in building a joke character and that's not the type of campaign, not the game that I want to run, I'm just going to politely ask them, hey, dude, I'm not running that type of game. Could you make a serious character? We can have fun around here. We're gonna laugh and have tons of fun. But your joke character that's just big, like bumbling, it depends on how you define joke character, right? But I think I know what you mean. I just don't have a ready example for you to like, you know, whatever. But that joke character you made, that's not the type of game I'm running. Like, you know, that's just not the game I'm running. There needs to be a slightly more serious tone to things, and joke characters aren't what we're going for. So if you could please make a new character, I would appreciate that. And when you're ready to go, let's jump in and let's play. If that's not acceptable to you and you're looking for a game where you can make joke characters and screw around and just whatever, well then this might not be the game for you. Like, there are lots of other games out there. If you can find one that doesn't suck and that likes to do the things that you like to do, you go find a game, you know, go find a game to play in, and that's cool. But this is probably not going to be a good fit if you are set on being a joke character. And you have to be willing to walk away from players. You can't, this is like the #1 rule in negotiation. If you're not willing to walk away, you lose. You have to be willing to walk away. And in this situation, in this context, that means that if you have a player who's doing joke characters and he's screwing around and he's not taking the game seriously enough in the way that you want to run your game, then you have to be able to say, okay, well then this isn't gonna work. You need to go find a new game. You have to be able to put your foot down and do that if it comes to that. Otherwise, you lose. You're gonna be like, well, I asked him not to make a joke character, but he still has one, and I don't know what to do, and it's making my life difficult, and the game's not as fun. Well, dude, like, grow some. You got to get him out of your game, you know. So if it comes to that, usually things can be resolved amicably, talking with each other like adults and discussing things. Usually things don't come to that, in my experience. Usually you can talk things out and you can figure things out, you know. But if it comes to that, you have to be willing to take that step. Otherwise, you lose, and you're never going to be able to negotiate anything because you have no power, no authority. They can disrespect you and do whatever the heck they want, and you can't do anything. You're just like, well, okay, I guess you know. So that's my thoughts on that. And it's even more troublesome if they're making joke characters because they don't take you seriously. If they don't take you seriously as a dungeon master, that's even more troubling, and that would piss me off. That'd make me even more inclined to be like, bye bye, if they don't change their attitude about that. On the flip side, make sure that you're a dungeon master that should be taken seriously. Make sure that you're running a really good game. Make sure that you're preparing things. Make sure that you know the rules. You know, make sure that you have that quality to your game that would inspire someone and make someone want to take your game seriously. Because if you're running some flippant game, then you can't blame them if they make joke characters. You really can't. And so it is a two-way street. As much as we want to, you know, sometimes rag on bad players, so to speak, it needs to be a two-way street, because if the dungeon master doesn't have a certain level of quality and preparation and seriousness to the way they carry things on, then they can't expect their players to be that way. What are your thoughts on the GIF race from Spelljammer? Those are the hippopotamus ones, right? If I remember correctly, the GIF are consummate mercenaries. And that's really all I remember, because they're actually, I think they're in the Monster Manual or one of the other monster books. And I remember using them a few times. I think they're interesting. I love the fact that they're just heartless mercenaries and they go for gold. I think that's cool. I don't really have any other thoughts on the GIF besides that. I had them in a game once, and they had ambushed the party and they were going to attack them in something, and then somebody in the party, I think, offered to bribe them or something, and the GIF were like, how much? And then the person gave them money, and they're like, okay, sure, we'll take your money, because they're like, this guy's paying more than the other guy, we'll take his money, you know. And then I think they even ended up hiring them on. Yes, they did. They hired them, and then they became, I think there were 3 GIF, and they went with them on their next adventure and helped them because they paid them. And so it's a really cool, interesting element when you have what is it? There's a race from, I think, the 9 hells as well. There is a devil, I'm forgetting the name. There's a devil race that are consummate mercenaries as well, and that's all they care about. What are they? Somebody knows what they are. They're a devil. I forget the name of them. Arcanoloth. That's the name of one of them. But what's the name of the entire race? No, that's not it. There's an entire race of devils that at least live in the 9 hells, and they are also just Yugoloths. Thank you. That's it. Yugoloths. Yes, the Yugoloths are also super, super cool because of their mercenary nature. I just like that. It's a twist. It's a cool twist to throw into an adventure. You know, when you have a mercenary race and an interesting conversation and bribes result, as opposed to the typical thing of, we're gonna try to talk our way past them. We're gonna use diplomacy, and it's probably gonna fail because usually it doesn't make any sense. And then we're gonna fight anyway. Like half of the, it's interesting. Like half of the like when players go into dungeons and adventures, and they try to engage in diplomacy, and they want to find a shortcut to solve the adventure or talk their way by the guards and the monsters and stuff in there, like at least half of the time, whatever rationale and reasoning they try to use is almost, if it were in real life, nobody would go for it ever. It's so irrational that guards and monsters would just be like, what? That doesn't make it, no. So, but sometimes they come up with really good ideas, and it's like, okay. I'm running a big, huge, massive adventure right now for my patrons, and I told them, like, this place you're going into, they were gathering information about the place, and some of the information that they gathered was that it's massive, it's huge, and they are kind of just fighting their way through everything. In my brain, I was like, well, maybe they'll try to sneak, or maybe they'll try to, do something different, but it looks like they're mostly just fighting their way through everything, which is fine. It doesn't bother me. I'm happy to run that game. I love combat and stuff. It's fine. Have you playtested any of the new 1 D&D races? And if so, what do you think? 2 of my players and I ran a one-shot last night, and I thought it was pretty decent. Much to be desired, though. I haven't even read the PDF, you guys. I mean, I should be a better YouTuber. I know that right now everybody and their brother is making videos on 1 D&D and talking about it, and the videos are doing super well, and they're getting lots of views, and I know that is beneficial for a YouTube channel, and I probably should be doing those things. I'm not. I think partially because first, everybody and their brother is doing it, so they're already talking about like probably every angle and that you could possibly analyze it for, and second, I have it in my mind that I want to create videos and resources that are going to help dungeon masters run games, to make them have less prep time, to make their games better and stuff. And so I'm trying to make videos that do that, provide information and resources that's going to help them run better games. And so like jumping into this bandwagon of 1 D&D stuff, it's like I feel like I know it would be beneficial. I know I could get views and and stuff on it, but there's part of me that's just like, man, I just don't want to make those videos. I don't want to make those cheap. I mean, to me, it's like I just don't want to ride that fad. I don't want to make, that's not what I want to do. I want to create videos that are going to have more lasting impact. That can help people a whole lot more than just talk about that stuff, in part because everybody's already doing that, and a lot of the topics I do in my videos usually touch on things that people aren't really talking about. It's information that isn't being promulgated out there, and that it's harder to find and stuff. It doesn't get as many views, There aren't as many people interested in that because it's not as flashy and showy, you know, but I just haven't, I have not given in to that temptation to jump on the one D&D bandwagon of videos. And to that end, I haven't read the playtest stuff they've released because I have my own thing that I'm doing. You know, we have a Kickstarter we're fulfilling. We do Lair magazine. I have my own videos that I'm making. I have some other plans about other things that I'm planning on doing as well to start expanding some stuff. And so my mind is a little bit more occupied with other things, you know? So I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts on that. How do I keep my players interested in a slow session? Stop running slow sessions. Why would you run a slow session? Why? It's like, hey guys, we're gonna watch a really boring movie. You're intentionally gonna play a boring movie. I'm not comparing your game session to a movie. I'm not saying it's a movie. I'm just giving a random example. It's like showing up to, like, you know, guys' night or girls' night or friends' night or whatever and being like, hey guys, we're gonna watch a really boring movie. I hope you all stay interested. And then throughout the boring movie, you're trying to somehow infuse them with interest. It's like, why would you do that? No, don't bring a boring movie. Get an interesting movie, get a fun movie. And if you get a movie you've never seen before, which is likely, and it turns out to be boring, feel free to pull that movie out and put a different movie in. I mean, most of us watch stuff on Netflix and HBO streamed and stuff, so you just pick a different one. If you got a crappy movie, switch the movie out. So my thought is that if you have a slow game session and you can see that your player's interest is drifting, you need to be like, whoa, okay, this is not working. Let's do something different. Let's change stuff. Like, what I had planned isn't going very well. Let's do something different. You can change stuff, right? If it's like they're wandering through a town, a brand new town, and they're just kind of exploring it. I've had game sessions like this where you'll get to a new town and they want to go from building to building and talk to different people and explore different things. Now, every so often, I don't mind doing that. You know, it's not a typical game session. Usually I like to have a little bit more excitement going on, a little bit of combat or something like that, as opposed to just going from town to building and talking to shopkeepers and exploring the new town. Once in a while, it's fine, but not my normal thing. It's not the most enjoyable thing for me and probably not for my players. So, but if I'm in a game session that I know is dragging, that's slow, and it's like, then I'm gonna do something. I have to do something. I have to. I can't just sit there for 3 or 4 hours and watch a slow, boring game session go on. It's like, that's horrible. If I recognize it. Now, sometimes you're gonna be in a game session and it's slow and boring, and you just, as a dungeon master, you just don't realize it. Right, well then, you know, what are you gonna do? You don't know what you don't know. But if you recognize that it's a slow game session and people's attention is drifting, you need to change something. Now, this is not hard. It requires thinking. But listen, you have lots of time to think during a game session. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm running a game, I spend at least 50% of my time listening to my players talk. Literally. And a lot of times they're talking among themselves. I'm literally just listening to them and paying attention. So if I see a slow game session, what I can do is, while they're talking, I can instead start thinking, what am I gonna do? What can I do? How can I change things? How can I make this more exciting? I mean, do I just throw a random encounter in there? That's not a horrible solution. If you got nothing else, if you see that it's boring, that it's dull, and you're just like, well, we're gonna have a random encounter. Boom, there you go. Let's spice things up. Let's just get crazy. There's nothing wrong with that solution. Someone might say, well, that's a very like amateurish solution. Like, all you're gonna do is throw in a random encounter. Yeah, that's amateur, dude. Like, you can do something better than that. Listen, anything, when you have a crappy game session going on and it's boring and slow and your player's attention is wandering, trying anything to salvage it is better than doing nothing and just plodding on and just sticking it out. You know, so if a random encounter is the best you can come up with, that's fine. Shoot, half the times that might be what I do. I love a good combat. Throw it in there and then just start rolling some dice and killing some stuff. I mean, you might have a slow game session because you're in a big old encounter, and you have an encounter that's just a fight that's going on way too long. Well, and that's too slow. Well, then fine. Cut the tail off that thing. Get rid of that thing. Wrap it up. You have multiple tricks. Listen, if I see a fight is dragging on and especially the conclusion is how that fight is going to end is obvious one way or another, usually because the heroes are going to win. If I can see that the end result is inevitable, that the heroes are going to win, then I can wrap that fight up. I can either wrap it up mechanically by having the enemies die sooner or flee, or I can wrap it up narratively by saying, hey guys, it's very at the beginning of a round, be like, you guys can see that these enemies are clearly no threat for you. You are mopping them up. Let's go around the table and each of you describe how you dispatch these foes or what you do to them. And then we just narratively finish it. And so even if you're stuck in a slow combat that's dragging on, there are ways to salvage that and wrap it up. You don't have to stick it out. There's nothing that says that you have to play combat round after combat round until everybody is dead, dying, or running away. You can stop that and wrap it up in a multitude of ways if you see that it is boring. So the answer to your question, how do you keep people interested in a slow session? That's the wrong question. The better question, or the better solution, is don't allow a slow session to continue. Pull that movie out, change that movie, get something more exciting going on. That's a much better solution than trying to somehow keep them interested in something that's boring. Like, I don't know how you would possibly do that, except for not have it be boring. My cat is biting me. I'm gonna bite you. I'm gonna bite you. Oh my gosh. My dog is down here snoring her brain out. Squeaky, I swear, you just keep biting me. I almost got him. Usually when he bites me, I pick him up and I like rub his belly. That's his punishment for biting me. He's jealous is what he is. Squeaky. I got you. You big tub. Use your big tub. Why are you biting me? Why are you biting me? Huh? Why are you biting me? I got cat hair all over myself now. I've been wanting to DM. I have people who think I would play with me, but they're new to D&D. I don't know how I should introduce them. What should I do? Okay. Well, I don't think it's complicated or hard. I think there are some basic steps you can do. One, go talk to them individually if you would like to do so. Hey, Jim, you heard of D&D? Yeah, everybody's heard of D&D. Cool. I like playing D&D. Would you be interested in playing? Maybe. I don't know. I've never played it before. That's okay. I'll show you how. It's not that hard. It's really easy and tons of fun. I got some other people I'm going to try to get a group together, and we're just going to get together and play. Okay. And you just go around and you ask people, yo, that's all you do. First step, talk to them, and just get them to give it a try. And just tell them, hey, look, there's no commitment, come try it. I'll explain it. It's really fun. If you don't like it, no hard feelings, you can leave. I'm not going to be offended. It's not a big deal. Just make it very non-committal, very chill. It's not, don't tell them, don't be like, now, if you decide to play, a typical D&D campaign lasts 2 to 3 years, and we're going to be meeting every other week. Dude, that is not what you tell someone when you're trying to convince them to play the game with you. They're just like, oh my, this is like a serious relationship. This is like almost like getting married. Like, most marriages don't last that long, and I got to commit to that, and they're going to be like, nope, I'm done, thank you. So don't tell them that. Just be like, we're going to get together and play, And then when they're hooked and they're loving it, you say, hey guys, you want to get together 2 weeks from now? Cool, let's do it. You get together, you play, and people are having fun. And then you're like, hey guys, how about we do this every Saturday at 4 p.m.? Would that work? What do you guys think? Yeah, that's awesome. Let's do it. Boom, you got it. You got it, man. So that's the first step. As far as getting them and teaching them how to play, start with the basics. It's very simple. Listen, you control one character. I am going to describe the world around your character. We're in a fantasy world. Think medieval fantasy world with magic. I am going to describe the world around your character, and all you have to do is tell me what your character says and does. That's it. You just tell me, the dungeon master, and then if there are any mechanical rules, dice to be rolled, we'll figure that out, and you slowly just walk them through how things are done. So try to make it, don't let the rules get in your way, is my suggestion. Introduce it as very simple. Tell me what you do and what you say, and if there are any rules and mechanics, then I'll explain them as we go, and try to make it very easy, very low like effort to get in. As far as character creation goes, there is nothing wrong with just asking them, hey, do you want to play a fighter? Do you want to play someone that can cast spells? That's hard, right? I would probably not offer that. Learning spellcasters is probably pretty complicated for people who never played before, but I don't know. People play video games and stuff, so they might be okay. It's not that abnormal, but it does complicate things quite a bit. But you know, if you just ask them what they want and you do a pre-generated character for them, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I think the absolute worst thing you can possibly do to a new player, like this is the worst thing that you can possibly do, is give them a player handbook and tell them to make their own character when they've never done it before. Creating a character in D&D is one of the most complex and possibly tedious things that a new player can do. Now, that said, there are many new players that are okay with that and are excited and will happily do it and learn the rules and stuff, even if they mess it up a little bit, and they'll be totally excited for that. So if they want to, that's fine. But I wouldn't impose it upon them if they really don't want to and they're just kind of like very casual about it. There's nothing wrong with the pre-gen. So there are some basic ideas for you to get you going. The first step is just asking people and getting together and starting to play, though. Besides Tome of Beasts, are there any other third-party monster books you'd recommend? Those are the only ones that I really have. I mean, I have Pathfinder 2nd edition down here. I just literally got my Pathfinder 2nd edition bestiary the other day, like 2 days ago, yesterday maybe. I haven't looked at any monsters though. I'm sure they're cool. We do have, obviously, we did our Lairs and Legends Kickstarter, which you can still get, pre-orders are still available. And one of the books, there are 2 books in the Kickstarter. The first book, Lairs and Legends, like the second half of it is a bunch of monsters. I don't remember how many monsters we have. It's definitely over 100. And then the first part of it is a bunch of adventures, like drag and drop adventures you can just put in your games. So Zach probably knows how many monsters we have. But you can still get pre-orders for Lairs and Legends. It's 2 books. The second book has a bunch of drag and drop Dungeon Master resources. So if you need a trap, you need a puzzle. If you're prepping a game and you just don't have time to create a puzzle, or you don't have time to create a trap, or you need an interesting NPC or something like that, you can just go peruse and find stuff and put it in your game. So you can go check that out. That's the only other third-party thing that I really know of that has monsters in it. Yeah, I have lots of books on my shelf, official Wizards books that I haven't even read, and I don't buy a lot of third-party stuff because they would just sit there and not get read either. The third-party stuff that I do buy, I usually use it. My players want me to do XP for them. Do you have any tips for balancing and stuff? No, just run XP from the book. Like, if your players want to use experience points instead of milestone, then I would literally follow the rules in the Dungeon Master Guide for awarding experience points. If they, think the way it goes is you essentially get it for encounters. If you fight the monsters in combat and defeat them, you get full experience points. I think it says in there that you get this. I use milestones, so I have not looked at these rules for like years. Disclaimer, right? I think that if you overcome the monsters through non-combat ways, you either get full experience or you get half experience. I'm not totally sure. Like I said, I use milestone. So, but I would just follow the rules in the book. I don't think there's anything wrong with the experience point rules in the book. Really, they work. They get the job done. Can they be improved upon? Maybe. Which is why I just don't use them. I use milestone. It's lots of benefits in my opinion. Run it like early editions. You get XP for saying hello to someone, or you get XP for all the gold. Like your XP is determined by the gold you collect. Have you ran an adventure in the Plane of Fire? If so, any tips on keeping it interesting? I haven't. I've never run in a Plane of Fire. I don't think the biggest challenge you have with running an adventure in the Plane of Fire is the variety of creatures at your disposal. You still want the same stuff as you do anywhere, whether you're on the Prime Material plane or whether you're in the Nine Hells or wherever you are. The key is to making it interesting are the same keys that make anything else interesting. You want to have interesting locations and a variety of locations. Everything can't just be walls of flames. That will be boring. And you want to have interesting NPCs, interesting monsters, interesting adventures, interesting encounters. It's all of the same elements. You just need to transport them over into the Plane of Fire. Now you have some good challenges in front of you because interesting locations, there might be a couple things laid out somewhere. There might be some third-party rule sets that give more information about the Plane of Fire. You might need to expand on it and create a lot of stuff for the Plane of Fire. But it's not just fire. Like, it should be a place with firm ground. There might be some magma and stuff. There obviously will be flames. It might just be a volcanic landscape. But you should have some of the similar elements that you would have anywhere else. Where your players can go there. They're probably going to need some sort of protection against fire. Would make sense to be able to actually travel there. And then you're going to want to have similar elements that you would have in any campaign, any game that you're running on any different plane. Now you're probably going to have to homebrew a whole lot because unless there's some resource out there that gives you tons of information that you want to go buy and use, you're going to have to homebrew interesting locations. You might have to homebrew interesting monsters because there probably just aren't a lot of monsters in the core rule books and different supplements that just have to do with monsters that are indigenous to the Plane of Fire. So there's a lot of work probably that you got to do, but that's okay. You know, a lot of times that work is enjoyable for dungeon masters. The other thing that I will say too is that I don't know that I would necessarily run an entire campaign in the Plane of Fire. I feel like some planes are better visited for an adventure or two as opposed to just staying there full time. And the Plane of Fire is probably a good candidate for that. Like, have an adventure that takes them there. Cool. They get to experience the Plane of Fire. They get to see some cool stuff. They get to fight some cool monsters. That's awesome. And then they can go back to the Prime Material plane and maybe they go to a different plane. I mean, we're kind of getting into, is it Planescape? Yeah, where you just kind of jumping from plane to plane. I feel like that sort of campaign where you have a variety of different planes you go to is probably going to be more interested than just running a bunch of stuff in the Plane of Fire. That'd be my gut inclination on that. Yes, sign up for the giveaway. We have a giveaway. We're giving away a D&D book. It's free. You just have to click the link and sign up. Whee! Yeah, I don't know anything about that, so I'm not going to answer that question. I have no information.
Any tips for making encounters harder for well synergized parties? Deadly encounters are barely an inconvenience. How many X deadly can I go? I am using the adventuring day mechanic. Well, I mean, at that point, you throw out the adventuring day mechanic. You're going to find eventually in your journey as a dungeon master that you're going to need to throw that adventuring day mechanic out at times or permanently, depending upon your party and what you're doing. I have found that there are some parties I've run adventures for, games for, campaigns for, that I can do 4 times the deadly. 4 times the deadly threshold, and they are fine. They have no issues whatsoever. And I want to point out, that was a game that I ran about 4 years ago in 5th edition, before all of the super powerful like Tasha's stuff came out, that and the combos and things got more and more powerful. That was back in the day with the base stuff. And I was still, and I think they were probably like level 16 at the time or something like that. But I was throwing 4 times deadly at them and they were fine. Even now I throw things at some of my groups that are like super deadly too, and they're usually fine. It might be hard. They might be like, holy crap, we're gonna die, and we almost did. They can handle it. You basically just ratchet it up. You ratchet it up a little bit more, a little bit more. You see what they can handle. But don't forget that it's okay for there to be easy encounters. It's okay for there to be cakewalks. Like, those are fun too. Those are good, right? You want a variety of difficulties when you're designing your adventures and your encounters. Players will like that. They will enjoy that. If everything is super, super hard, that becomes a slog and can get boring. Now, maybe for the right group of players, it doesn't, but probably for your average group, that's going to get old. So just try it, try things out. Another small pro tip too is if you want to just homebrew a little something, like take an existing monster and just ratchet that monster up a little bit, increase its damage. Don't increase its hit points. Increasing pools of or armor class. Increasing armor class and hit points just makes a fight longer. That's all it does. It makes a fight take longer. Is it more dangerous? Is it more deadly? Yeah. But it stretches combat out and makes it longer. And that is really the last thing you want to do. You don't want combat to be longer. Now, there's nothing wrong per se with combat that takes a long time. There's nothing wrong with that. But you don't want to intentionally make combat longer by increasing hit points or experience. Hit points or armor class. It's much preferable to increase the damage a monster can do if you want to make it more deadly. And because that makes it more deadly without the consequence of the combat taking longer. Short combats don't make them better, but a long combat that just keeps going and going and going can get old. So you're better not to make a combat longer if you can avoid doing so. Okay, I think we're gonna do, what was I gonna do? Oh, Don, thank you for your $4 super chat. I appreciate that, dude. Lord God, I see your super chat. I'm gonna hit you up after the break here, and then I'll answer your question. If you haven't signed up for the giveaway, please do so. Also, Laircon is coming up in literally a month, like 31 days, something like that. It's October 7th, 8th, and 9th. I'm going to be there. My team will be there. We're having a convention down in Pensacola, Florida. If you want to come join us, that would be awesome. I'm getting amped up. I look forward to seeing people and having tons of fun. I just usually hang out and play board games with people. I don't usually jump in games like actual D&D games because that takes a long time, and 4 hours is hard for me to sit my butt in one place, especially when there are lots of cool people around that I could go talk to. So usually I just hang out and talk to people and play board games, like quick board games with people. So if you want to come play and hang out, I would love to meet you guys. So anyway, there's a link to Laircon information there where you guys can learn more and get tickets and all that good crap. So yeah. All right, now we're going to give my cats some catnip.
Oh, no, not catnip. No. Cat treats, cat treats. All right, so this is what we're gonna give them. They are swarming now. Ooh, baby. Like sharks. Sharks. Oh yeah? What's up, little guy? I'm gonna get some more coffee. I'll be back. All right, got the coffee. Kevin, yes, you showed up for the cat break. well, good timing, my man. McTasman? Wow. How did you find that command? There we go. Ooh. Jacob Cobberholm. Hey, what's up, dude? I've started looking at Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and I think you said you were going to try it out too. Was that motivated by 1D&D? What do you like or dislike about Pathfinder compared to 1D&D? Okay, let's talk about Pathfinder 2nd Edition, shall we? All right, I'm gonna get some space here. Gotta make sure my desk is clean. All right, so I got this guy here. This is like the core rule book, and the bestiary arrived yesterday, I believe. I have the game mastery guide, which this is like, I think this is like an optional book. I don't think you actually need this, but you know, I was like, I'll get it. I'll see what's in there. And then I have the GM screen, which according to the reviews has like really good reference information on it. So anyway, those are the books I have. Now I have, let's first of all, let's address why I'm looking at Pathfinder. Does it have to do with the 1D&D stuff? No, not really. Not really. I had already ordered my Pathfinder book and had started reading it prior to the 1D&D release, where they started lying to us about it not being a new edition. So before the corporate sleaze set in and they lied to our faces, I was already looking. I'm not salty at all about being lied to, by the way. Even though they kind of do it almost every edition, but I'm not upset at all when they lie to me and tell me it's compatible and not a new edition. I don't mind at all being lied to about a company with motives and stuff. It doesn't bother me, really it doesn't. But anyway, that wasn't the reason that I got interested in Pathfinder, basically I've been reading some different game systems. I read a bunch of this one right here, Dungeon World. This one right here feels more like a book to be read and some interesting ideas as opposed to something that you would actually want to play. I don't know how to even play this game based upon the book. There's so much that doesn't really, it just feels very nebulous. So I don't know how to even use that and how that game would even get played. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. There's so much that's not defined. That could be intentional. I don't know. Now, as far as Pathfinder, I got a Pathfinder book because the main reason that I got the Pathfinder book, in all honesty, is for our Kickstarter that we're doing right now, the Lairs and Legends. I was looking for a different printer because the printer that we used for Into the Fae was garbage, and the books were not to my liking at all. The actual quality of the books was not good, and I do apologize for that. The printer we had sucks, and so I was looking for a new printer, and I found a printer that I thought would be really good, and they are the printer that does all of Paizo's books. They do a lot of Chaosium's books. That's called Cthulhu, and Savage World might be also Chaosium. I'm not totally sure. But anyway, I know they do Paizo's books, and I was like, okay, cool. So if they do Paizo's books, that's probably means they're a pretty good printer. Let me buy one of Paizo's books. And I was like, hey, Pathfinder 2nd edition sounds like a good book. So I get it, and I literally bought the book. I originally bought this book to look at the quality of the binding, the quality of the print job. I wanted to see, before I went forward with this printing company, if it was really going to be an actual good job. And holy crap, you guys, after looking at the quality of the print job for Paizo's Pathfinder book and the garbage print jobs we get from Wizards of the Coast, like this quality of print job, the binding, everything is superior to the Wizards of the Coast books, almost all of them. There was a couple of the books that I have from Wizards of the Coast that have good binding, but all of them except for like two that I found that are on my shelf had inferior binding, and you could tell they were cutting corners to print cheaper books. And so anyway, I'm not trying to rag on them too much. But that's the real reason I bought Pathfinder 2nd edition. But then, as I was finishing up this guy right here, and I was like, okay, this is not a good candidate for me to run for a group. I was like, okay, well, I already have Pathfinder 2nd edition. I should just start reading it. And so I started reading it. And I started to really like what I was reading. A lot of the stuff sounded really cool and interesting. And then I started talking to my other group, and I was like, hey guys, because we literally finished our Curse of Strahd campaign like a week ago. And we're going to start doing some one-shots before I start running my next campaign for them. And I said, hey guys, what would you think of, instead of playing D&D, we played Pathfinder 2nd edition? What would you guys think of that? And all of them were favorably disposed toward it and were positive about it. One of them had playtested it once at Gen Con or something like that and was like, cool. And they were all like, yeah, let's do it. And so now everybody's buying books and crap, and I have the books, and now we're just going to run Pathfinder 2nd edition. Now, I have not gotten through this entire book yet. It's a big book. I'm like right here. I'm right here. So I'm like almost half of the way through the book. Almost half of the way. And my impression thus far, without having played, which I think is an important point, because you never know what a game system is really like until you've played it a bit. You must play it for a little bit before you can actually tell what a tabletop role-playing game is actually like. But my impressions thus far are very, very good. Very super positive. I love the fact how you have 3 actions and they can be used to move, and to move if you want to. It's called striding. Or you could move and then attack, but then you can't stride again. I think you can take like a step though. And I love how some spells might just take one action to cast, but a lot of spells take more than one action because they're more complex and stuff. So I love some of these game mechanics, some of these systems behind it. I am finding that, so we should note here that Pathfinder is a crunchier system than 5th edition D&D. And by crunchier, I mean that there are more rules and the rules address more scenarios. So there's less ambiguity, there's less vagueness in the books. So there's less times when the dungeon master is going to have to make a ruling because the book tends to address those situations. So that's what we talk about crunchier. And I'm finding that the level of crunchiness thus far is pretty good. I feel like it gives me just enough of the rules to define certain situations that I don't have to constantly make, house rulings on things. It gives me just enough without perhaps going too far, but that's just a first impression. Now, that said, that's one thing. The second thing that I really am liking is feats. Like, you can tell their feat system that they have allows you to customize your characters so much. Oh my gosh, you can customize the crap out of your wizard, out of your barbarian, out of your fighter through feats. It's like in 5th edition, you have like your archetypes, but once you pick your archetypes, yes, you can pick feats and stuff, and there are little tiny tweaks, but mostly you have the same class, unless you start multi-classing and splashing things in. And then you're gonna get to do some different stuff, Pathfinder, you could have literally just one class, a wizard, and you, through feats, the different feats you take, you have ancestry feats, you have general feats, you have class feats. There's a variety of different feats you get. And through all these feats you get, you can customize the crap out of your class. Now, I'm sure that there are some feats that are best haves. And so some people might argue, well, you can, but the best ones are always these, therefore everybody should do these. And I don't think everybody plays the game that way. So I'm liking the idea of the customizability of it for players. That seems pretty cool to me. The other thing that I really liked too is that multi-classing is way different in Pathfinder 2nd edition. I read these rules like about a week ago, and I don't remember them super well, but you don't multi-class the same way that you do in 5th edition. You can't just take another class and then, splash a class in and stuff. You literally have to take, if I remember correctly, could be wrong, you take a feat that allows you, first you take a feat that allows you to take feats from other classes. You don't actually get the actual class, you get to take some of their feats and stuff, which gives you some versatility. It lets you do some stuff other classes can do, but it isn't literally you are the other class. That's my recollection of it. I could be wrong. I'm reading through this and I'm kind of going at a good clip to try to get through some stuff. But I liked that idea. I thought that sounded very nice because one of the things, honestly, that annoys the crap out of me in 5th edition, and one of the things that I hate about how they designed 5th edition is splashing classes. I hate the splashing. I hate it. I hate the fact that for mini builds, 2 warlock is like the best thing you can do. I hate that crap. The paladin who splashes 2 warlock and 2 sorcerer and does crazy crap, all the splashing and the power builds and stuff, it's kind of like, ugh, I just don't like that, for whatever reason. I don't know. There's just something about me that doesn't like that. And I never want to tell my players they can't do it. I know there are some dungeon masters who will just literally tell their players, hey guys, you cannot splash classes in my games. You can only run straight classes, only all paladin, all fighter, all wizard. I know there are dungeon masters who do that, but I know that players enjoy customizing and splashing different classes in and doing these things. I know they enjoy that, and I don't want to kill that part of the fun and say they can't do it. And so I never wanted to make that rule, although a part of me would have liked it, So anyway, I like Pathfinder's solution to it. It seems cool, just having read through it. that's about as far as I've gotten. I'm in the skills section right now, and I love the skills address a whole lot of situations that come up. Like, for instance, in 5th edition, you know, if somebody is like, there are rules that cover simple things like movement and then taking a jump, a high jump or a long jump. But there's some, you know, vagueness about them, and you have to kind of like make a ruling. Whereas Pathfinder has it very clearly laid out how those things work. You can stride, and that requires an action, and then you can high jump, and that requires an action. And it just has some. No, I think you can. A high jump it's 2 actions, and it includes a stride built into it. I could be getting a few things wrong. I'm literally just reading it through. But I love how they address some of these scenarios, things that, you know, come up in the game in 5th edition, but we just don't have rules for. And I love the fact that there's an actual rule that addresses it. It doesn't seem like they're going too far, though, in having too many rules to the extent that I've read it so far. And so right now, I am super favorably disposed toward it, and I think it's sounding really, really cool. The more and more I read it, I'm super excited about it. So yeah, that's my first impressions so far. We'll see once we get into playing it. Obviously, you never know until you start playing it, but I love it so far. It's a great read. The quality of the book is great. The writing is great. The organization thus far has not disappointed me. I think some people have criticized Starfinder for being poorly organized or something. I heard somebody criticizing it about that. I don't know if that's true or not. I've never read it. But thus far, Pathfinder 2nd edition, I found it to be pretty darn good. I haven't had that complaint. So there you go. Those are my first impressions for Pathfinder. I swear, Paizo should have sponsored that message. All right. What are your expectations on DM rule changes in the next non-edition? Yeah, the next not edition. Like, hello, we're changing a bunch of rules and things, but it's not a new edition. I'm not gonna get over that. I'm not gonna get over it, I swear. I have no idea what they're gonna change. What I really hope they change is challenge rating and trying to balance things. Balance. Which is, by the way, one of the things I've heard Pathfinder 2nd edition does very well. This is what I've heard. I won't know it until I play the game, but I've heard that things are very well balanced. That's what I've heard. 5th edition is so unbalanced, it's pretty pathetic. Challenge rating system and calculate the adventuring day and calculating things and one class and another class and there's no such thing as balance in 5th edition. There really isn't. So I would like to see a way that makes 5th, let's call it 5.5 edition right now, a way that a dungeon master's job is easier in 5.5. So if you can give me a way to calculate encounters and adventures to make sure that I have, if I want the encounter to be easy, I can actually ensure that it's easy, more or less. I know there are dice. I know things are... Oh, probably my mom is calling me. Oh, no. Why do they call me at 7 p.m. at night? Really, why? All right, I'm gonna take this. I'm sorry, guys. Stand by. This is Luke. Okay, I'm back. We took our dog to the animal clinic because she can't see, she's blind, and we're doing blood tests and stuff. And for whatever reason, the vet that we took them to always calls me late at night. The last time they called me, I was busy doing something. I was in a meeting, I think, and I couldn't take the call. And then they called me right now, a week later, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna talk to you. So sorry about that. All of the blood work is fine. Like everything, all the blood work and her blood pressure. It says she can't see. She's like totally blind, almost blind is what I've been told. And so they're, you know, they didn't really see too much evidence of cataracts or anything like that. And so we have an appointment with an ophthalmologist, a specialist for animals, in a couple months. So, but right now the normal vets can't do a whole lot besides be like, we don't know, everything looks fine that we can see. And in the meantime, my dog is like totally blind. So yeah, she's like totally blind. We actually got, let me show you something. This is hilarious. I'm gonna show you a picture. We got her a special thing to put on her so that she won't bump into stuff. And I'm just gonna show you a picture of it real quick. Here we go. She looks like a space cadet. Check this out. There she is. This right here goes on her, and it's like a halo is what they call it. And so as she walks around, instead of like smoking her nose into stuff, this halo bumps into it and she stops and she can't go any further. And so it just protects her from getting hit. So I call it a space suit, and I call her my space cadet. My wife, I sent her my wife this picture and was like, space cadet or space suit. And my wife was like, she's going to the moon. So anyway, this is the funky little thing that we have for her now. So that she doesn't keep hitting her nose on like everything. It's a cat guard. All the other dogs call her a nerd. Yeah, it just got here today. It literally got here today. So she hasn't had it a whole lot. But it works really well. It works really well. She's not hitting her nose and stuff, so I'm happy about that. All right, let's hit some more stuff. Oh yes, we had a super chat. I want to hit that. Jacob Calberholm, thank you for the $15 tip. I really appreciate that. That goes toward the Capital Area Humane Society and is going to help little doggies and kitties. So I really, really appreciate that. If anybody else wants to help raise money for the Humane Society, we are almost to our goal right there. We're very, very close. So all tips will go toward Capital Area Humane Society. Once we get to 500, I'll do a donation to them. And Jacob was looking to get his name up here too, I bet you. Well done, sir. You calculated that killing blow very well. And now you have your name up top. Thank you. And now we're going to get to Lord God, who had a super chat. Thank you, sir, for your $7 converted to $5.44 American dollars. Thank you. Any advice for homebrewing magic items that are not powerful, but interesting and fun? I'm going to give you two pieces of advice that are going to just seem very lame and dull, but there's nothing I can do about it. Making a homebrew magic item interesting and fun is 100% dependent upon your creativity, and I can't help you with that. I can't help you be creative. And so making it interesting and fun is just up to you and your noggin and thinking about things that you think would be fun and interesting and all that kind of stuff. So that's just thinking work. It's thinking work. Now, as far as balance I can help you with. It's not that hard. It's not hard, but it's not a science either. The way that I typically try to balance a magic item is by comparing it to other existing magic items. So I'll go to the Dungeon Master Guide and I have my magic item that I'm homebrewing and I've created some effects for it. And I'll go to the Dungeon Master Guide and I'll compare it to other things and see how powerful it is. And if it's matching up with the powers of something that's rare, then it's probably rare. If it's matching up with something that's common or uncommon, then maybe that's common or uncommon. So that's how you do the whole balancing thing. Now, I can tell you that when you add limitations on usage, like for instance, if something can only be used once per day, well, that makes it way less powerful. If something can only be used once per week, even less powerful. And obviously, if the actual benefits you gain from it are situational, for instance, and not always applicable, less powerful. For instance, if I have a +1 to hit, that's pretty powerful. A +1 to damage, not that big of a deal. But both of those are still always applicable and will always be useful. If I have a magic item that gives me +1 to my diplomacy checks, that's super situational, not going to come up a whole lot. So not as powerful. If I have something that will give me advantage on a diplomacy check once per day, well, then that's even less useful because I'm limiting the amount of times I can use it. So you can use these sort of ideas as guidelines about how you can ratchet something down. So if you have an idea for a magic item that is really cool and awesome, but you feel like it's way too powerful, then take the effect that you feel is too powerful and put a usage limitation on it, once per day, once per long rest, or whatever you want to do. Or make it situational. If you want to have something do extra damage, then have it only do extra damage against dragons, or only against giants, or only against X, Y, and Z. So think about ways to limit the when and how often it's actually beneficial. So those are ways to take things and make them less powerful. So those are some basic thoughts on you. I will tell you though that Ed Robinson's in chat here. He's our lead developer. He is the expert on that sort of thing. So he probably would be happy to talk with you on Discord or something if you want to hit him up. Goliath Cleric is also really good about that sort of thing as well. So either of those guys on my team would be really good candidates to pick their brains on that sort of stuff. We have our if you haven't joined my Discord, you should. It's a community of folks, many of them, almost all of them probably are dungeon masters, and we just help each other out and stuff. It's welcoming, helpful community. We don't allow jackwads in there. They get kicked out pretty quickly. So you should find a very nice place to hang out and get advice and talk with cool people. All right, here we go. Any advice on balancing individual PC interests and goals while at the same time keeping them together and working towards a common goal. Yeah, absolutely. The way I do this is downtime. Essentially, when we are running our adventures, our normal adventures, those normal adventures are everybody together and you're all working toward common goals for the most part. There's a caveat to that. I'll get to that in a second. When we are doing downtime activities, which in most of my games, I require you to take a week of downtime in order to gain a level. So when you are taking your downtime, that is your opportunity. You as a player, as a character, can do things that you want to do, that you find interesting during your downtime. Now, it's not going to be going on an entire adventure. It's not going to take up a whole lot of table time because we're going to be going around the table fairly quickly. Everybody gets to do their downtime, but you can do some stuff that's somewhat interesting for you. Things progress things. Maybe you're learning a new language. Maybe you're crafting something. Maybe you want to find information about some bad guy that the group might go against that you don't want to go in blind and you'd rather be prepared for. So the downtime is really the opportunity where players can do their own individual things. Again, it doesn't take very long. It might be 5 to 10 minutes per player as we do our downtime. And I don't always role play everything out. Sometimes they say what they want to do, we make some die rolls, and we announce the results. Sometimes I do role play it out. It really just depends. Sometimes on my mood, sometimes on how interesting I think it would be to role play some of the downtime out. Because sometimes it would not be interesting, other times it would be interesting. I once had a guy who wanted to do criminal activities during a downtime, and I described a place that he was going to rob, and we did we literally role played it out. How he snuck in and what he did and stuff, and then there were dice rolls obviously involved, and he ended up getting arrested, I think, and thrown in jail, and it was really cool. So sometimes I do role play it out, but not always. I would say most of the time I don't. So that's the time when they can do individual interests. Now, the other time, and this was the caveat, the other time that you can pursue individual interests of your character is what I call my character arcs. So in my games, I usually have the main campaign arc, which is the main adventure arc. This is the bad guy. He's doing all these horrible things, and eventually you got to go and fight him. After you fight all of his lieutenants and stuff and have other adventures and gain levels, you're going to fight him. And then I have what I call my character arcs. And these are usually full adventures that are based on characters' backstories. And so they will be able to go and pursue something that has to do with their backstory that's of interest to them, or some sort of conflict that I have, created that has to do with their backstory or somebody in their backstory. Now, the thing is that for those character arcs, those are still group missions. The entire group goes along on that character arc. They all go and they all do it and they stick together. Yes, they are pursuing the interest that has predominantly to do with one character, but because we're playing a group game and they are an adventuring party, they go do it together and they help that one character. And usually most of the characters get some sort of adventure arc. Now, it doesn't always happen that way in all of my games. Sometimes games take shifts and turns that make that really hard to do. For instance, my Patron game right now, they were all from the Waterdeep area or the Prime Material plane in the Forgotten Realms, and they have now decided to go to a different plane of existence entirely, called the Dark Shards. It is what do they call those? What are those realms in Barovia or in the Shadow Realm where the dark powers? What do they call those things? Somebody help me. I'm drawing a blank on those. Barovia and Strahd's Realm is an example of these, but there are many of them. There's a whole Domain of Dread. Thank you. I couldn't remember that. The Dark Shards is a Domain of Dread, and they have decided to go there. They were originally just going to go there for a quick little visit to do one little thing. And then once they found out how horrible the ruler of this Domain of Dread, the Dark Shards, is, they decided to stay there and just hang out there. And now it's like, well, a lot of them aren't from there. Some of them actually are now because their characters died and they made replacement characters who were from the Dark Shards. But if your character is not from there, it's kind of hard to incorporate backstories and stuff in. So it's a little bit sparse in that game right now. When we were first playing, I was doing lots of these character arcs, and now it's just kind of getting hard to do it because of certain turns. And of course, in Curse of Strahd, like, it's hard to do character arcs because, again, everybody is from a different plane of existence, and none of the people from their backstories or none of the events from their backstories are at all applicable, you know. So it's hard to work that stuff in. So some games and campaigns don't lend themselves quite so well to that, but it is a way for characters to pursue things that interest them. The other thing that you could do, if you really wanted to, is like meet solo with players and just run games for them that have to do with their backstories. If you want to and you feel so inclined, then you're welcome to do that. But the big thing that I will tell you, my recommendation to you, is don't let those little games that you're running for just one player here that has to do with their own interests, don't let those compromise your main campaign. And this is what I mean. I was once listening to somebody telling a story about how back in the day, it would take dungeon masters like months to prepare their next, you know, adventure. And while they were preparing their next adventure, during that time, they would run little mini adventures with all the other players, and they would run those mini adventures independently. You know, just the dungeon master and the player running a mini adventure, pursuing their own interests while they were preparing their main campaign. And this person was telling this story, and I was like, hello, can you not see that the reason it takes them months to prepare one adventure is that they're spending their time running these mini adventures with all of these characters? Like, that is the reason. Like, and so my suggestion to you is that unless you want to spend most of your time running little one-offs with players, my suggestion is make sure that your main campaign, where you're all together and playing, remains at your set intervals and doesn't get compromised if you're running little one-off adventures. Because if you're spending time prepping and running little one-off adventures, you might find yourself not able to run your main campaign, and that keeps being put on the back burner, and then you find yourself just running one-off adventures all the time. Which, if you want to do that and that's what you enjoy doing, then I'm not going to tell you not to do it. But there's more bang for your buck in running adventures when the entire group is there, because I can spend time prepping for a game and time in a game and running a game for a whole bunch of people who enjoy it, or I can spend the same amount of time prepping a game and running it for one person who enjoys it. And so me personally, I'd rather have a whole group of friends together if I can do it, because the game is usually more fun and enjoyable that way. So I don't know, that's just my personal opinions on it, but there's a lot of ways you can do it, and nothing is really wrong. It really just depends on what suits your own interests and your own play style. I'm going to run a 3-part starter adventure using the starter kits with created characters: Dragons of Stormwreck Isles, Mines of Phandelver, Dragon of Ice Spire Peak. Any advice? No, that's too generic of a question. If you can give me a specific question, I can probably help you more. I'm sorry. What is your opinion of using trigger warnings and special accommodations when running a horror campaign? I don't know. My players don't have problems with like the games and horror campaigns and stuff like that. I feel like the unspoken rule that we have is that if anything in the game is making you feel uncomfortable, you should say something. Like, we don't have some, I've seen some games that have like cards they'll hold up, you know, like if a scene or something is making them uncomfortable, they'll hold the card up and they'll be like, hey, red card, flag, help, stop, you know. I've seen other games on Twitch that are absolutely stupid and ridiculous, where instead of just holding up a card if something makes them uncomfortable, they will literally sit there with a card on their forehead like this to indicate that they are okay with the scene the whole time. the card is up and they're like, I am okay with this scene. I am okay with it. I am okay with it. I am okay with it. It's like, that's dumb. Look it, you know, if something's wrong, hold the card up. Or if something's wrong, be like, whoa, 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 hold on, stop, right? But if everything's okay, act like a normal person. I thought that was so annoying to me. Listen, if you need to, like in my groups, I've never had to tell anybody, guys, if you're uncomfortable, say something. Because I mean, I play with grown adults and most of us are fairly mature. And I just assume that, hey, well, first of all, I'm pretty careful. I don't introduce themes that I think would probably make people uncomfortable. First of all, that's the first thing that I do. This is a dungeon master. And second of all, my players are free to speak up and say, whoa, stop. You know, this is making me uncomfortable. I've spoken up before. I once was in a game where I had a player doing something. I don't even remember what it was, but it was crossing a certain line. And I was like, hey, dude, we're not doing that. We need to stop right now. And he's like, oh, yep, my bad. And that's it. Just like adults. And it was over. And we went on and we kept on playing. And he's in my group still. It's not, you know what I mean? It's like sometimes things happen and somebody has a lack of judgment and you just speak up and you say, yo, dude, that's a problem. Let's stop. And you just handle it like adults, you know? So, I mean, that's what I've always done. As far as special accommodations, it's like, dude, you know, if somebody has an issue with a certain type of game, if it's horror or something, well, then maybe you shouldn't run it. Like if we're gonna run a horror campaign and somebody just can't take horror, it freaks them out and makes them totally uncomfortable. Like they just can't take it. And you would need to scale down the horror to such an extent that it's no longer horror. Well, then maybe you shouldn't run a horror campaign. Maybe you should run something else. You know, like, yeah, you could make special accommodations, or you could just run something that everybody is fine with. I think that is probably just as easy, if not better, you know, and I don't have a problem making special accommodations if that's what you want to do, and that's fair, and that's fine. You know, you don't want people to feel uncomfortable or icky or unwelcome or something in your games. You don't want that, obviously. But it seems like it's easier to just run a different sort of game if people aren't comfortable with something than it is to, you know, like dance around certain things and try to make it palatable. Like, you know, if you don't like broccoli, then I'm not going to try to make a broccoli dish that you might like. I'm just not going to make broccoli, dude. I'm just going to skip it and we're going to have beef jerky and bacon, you know, because everybody likes beef jerky and bacon. So there's nothing wrong with doing that sort of thing, but I think there are easier ways to just make everybody happy and feel included and feel welcome and not feel uncomfortable. You know, there are easier ways to go about it. What's your opinion on the new idea of inspiration on nat 20s? I think it's stupid. I hate it. I think it encourages wasting time with pointless skill checks between every encounter. Oh, that's what that person said. Okay, so look, I don't like the idea of look it. A nat 20 already gave you a critical hit. You already got a success. And so now you're also getting inspiration for it. It's like, okay, we're just piling on the good. I would rather on a nat 1 you get inspiration. You know, one of the things that I found interesting about this book right here, Dungeon World, is that you get experience when you fail at something. I thought that was cool. I liked that mechanic. I don't think Dungeon World's a very playable game, and just from having read it, so vague and ambiguous. It's like, I don't even know what, but I thought that was an interesting thing. And so I would rather have a mechanic where if we want to take inspiration and make it something that mechanically is awarded based upon certain things, instead of it just being Dungeon Master fiat, if you want to do that, okay, that's fair. I often forget to award inspiration. In fact, in my games, I have a standing rule where at the beginning of every game session, everybody gets inspiration. Why? Because one, you're all good players and you role play very well and you're gonna earn it anyway. But I often forget to tell you that gets inspiration. And so I'm just gonna give everybody inspiration. That way it's just, I don't forget because you guys are all awesome anyway. So that's what I do because I just forget. So if you want to take Dungeon Master Fiat out of awarding inspiration, I don't have a problem with that. I just don't like the idea of having it be on a nat 20. I personally would rather award inspiration on a nat 1. Because hey, look it. If you rolled a nat 1, that sucks, you failed. But if you get a point of inspiration out of it, hey, that's something. I'm not trying to be the whole everybody gets trophies sort of thing and everybody's a winner. Like, I don't buy that bullcrap. I don't think that did anything beneficial for our society. Don't want to talk about that too much. People will get offended. I don't buy that bullcrap, but I do think there's something cool about, hey, you got a nat 1, but at least you got some inspiration out of it. Okay, cool. It's not that bad. You know, maybe next time I'll roll with inspiration or something. So I think that is preferable to, you know, just piling on the victory. You know, I got a nat 20. I also get inspiration. I don't know. There's something about that I just kind of don't like. I think I saw a super chat. Oh yeah. Feth Games, thank you for the $10 super chat. Oh, Don sent a $4 super chat. I missed that. Thank you, Don. I'm sorry. Feth, thank you for the $10 super chat. They say, hello, Luke, new to your community. Welcome, dude. Welcome. Join our Discord. If you haven't joined our Discord, join our Discord. Lots of very, very nice, welcoming folk over there. Will help answer questions and stuff. I'm running a class on how to GM in VR chat for general RPG. Virtual reality chat. Ooh, like a text-based chat? You're running a class on how to do a text-based chat game? What are suggestions you have for prepping lessons or extended lessons if it goes by too quickly? Oh, you actually want to know about how to teach lessons and stuff. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to dig back to when I was a teacher. How long ago was I a teacher? I was a teacher from 2004, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 2004 to 2007. I was a teacher. Yeah. Or maybe it was 2003 to 2006. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. How do you design lessons? How do you design lessons for teaching a class on that sort of thing? I mean, I feel like you need to mix it a lot with examples and stuff. Shoot, if I were giving classes on role-playing games, I feel like I would probably design all of my sessions with theory followed by, we're literally playing the game, guys. And I would probably design games that slowly incorporated whatever my lessons were teaching, and we would just slowly build upon it. And so there'd be some theory, maybe 15 minutes of theory on stuff where I was talking about it, and then we just play a game for a half an hour where we're practicing whatever it was I happened to be talking about in the lesson. Because if you're teaching classes on a role-playing game, like, holy crap, like, that's like the perfect example. Like, you don't even need to come up with examples. You could just be like, okay, let me give you some theory. Let's talk about some stuff. Now let's go actually do it and play the game and have fun. And then you would design that segment of the game, the lesson, to make sure that you're really using the things that you were talking about in your theory, in your lesson, so that it would get reinforced a lot. You know, that's just a beautiful world right there. And so if that's kind of what you're asking, I would design it that way. Theory followed by playing the game. But you would need to design that gameplay very intentionally so that it would use whatever you were talking about in your lesson to like reinforce it and stuff, you know, and then you'd make that be tons of fun, you know. And even if the people if they were zoned out during your lecture when you were talking about whatever lesson the theory part was, like once they actually get into the game and they're playing, like if they were zoned out, they're gonna have to like, oh crap, what was okay, they're gonna have to reference it what you were talking about to actually use it because the game has to do with it, you know. So I would probably go something like that for me if I were doing like giving a class on a role-playing game. Would you recommend playing each campaign to max level 3 or 5, or to carry it over to create new characters or reset for level? Oh, I think this is a follow-up to your question above, wasn't it? Are you the same one that asked about? Yes, you were asking. Okay, so this is from Odin. You were asking, you were going to run a 3-part starter adventure using all 3 starter kits. Dungeons, I think there actually might be 4 starter kits, but you're gonna run Dungeons of Stormwreck Isle, Mines of Fendelver, and then Dragon of Icespire Peak. And so, and I told you, but you asked for advice, and I was like, that's too general of a question. I need a specific question. And so now you actually gave me a specific question, and so let's read your specific question. Where is that bad boy? Would you recommend playing each campaign to max level 3 or 5 to carry it over, or create new characters or reset level for each adventure? It really depends on your comfort with redesigning an entire adventure module. So if I were doing it, if I wanted to run essentially a campaign where I strung together the 3 starter adventures, the way I would do it is I would, based upon the themes and the adventures, I would pick one that seemed really good for levels 1 through 3 or 1 through 5, and that would be the one we start at. I'd pick another one that I thought would be good for like the middle, and then one that would be good for the end. And what I would do is the one that's in the middle, I would rebalance it. So if we got to level 3 at the end of this adventure, I would rebalance this adventure for levels 4, 5, 6, and 7, let's say. And then for this one, I would rebalance it for levels 8, 9, 10, and 11. And that's how I would run that personally. But I am comfortable doing that sort of thing, and I don't have any issues with it. I know how to do that, and would it take work? Yeah, but it might be fun. Lots of people love that sort of, we call it work, but dude, it's a game. Some of this stuff is just really fun, you know? And so that's what I would do. Now, if you're not comfortable doing that, then you could just have them reset their characters with each starter adventure. I don't know how enjoyable that would be for characters, or for players, I should say. In all honesty, I don't know if they would like doing that, because the thing is that one of the big draws of being a player in the game is leveling your character up, getting more power, getting more abilities, getting more spells, getting cool magic items. And so when you start to get to level 3 or level 5, you're finally getting cool stuff. You're like, okay, this is getting exciting. This is getting fun. Oh, giddy up, boy. And then if we get to level 5 and you're like, okay, we're going to the next starter adventure, everybody re-rolls level 1 characters, then you're like, the players are like, but I was just getting the cool stuff, and now I'm going back to level 1. And so I have a feeling that players might not find that enjoyable. And so without knowing your players and without knowing you, I don't know that I would recommend that, because I don't know how much fun that would be, how enjoyable that would be in actual practice. Now, your players might be okay with it and they might go through with it and stuff. I don't know that it's the optimal way to do it. So if you're comfortable with rebalancing the starter sets for different levels, then the first route that I suggested would be my suggestion, but it's based upon your comfort level, based upon your players and stuff. So there's the answer to your question. Odin, thank you for the super chat, dude. Appreciate that, man. They say having your live chat or music in the background while painting a young green dragon for Fandelver adventure helps me concentrate with the work. Awesome, thank you, dude. I'm happy to talk your ear off while you're painting. I used to listen to actual plays when I was painting. I need to get back into painting. I'm I'm gonna show you guys something. I got some really cool stuff from Army Painter. Okay, I'm really excited to use these. This right here is their Speed Paint Mega Set. Now, here's the thing. I haven't even pulled the wrapping off from it yet. I'm just so busy right now. But this Speed Paint Mega Set right here. Right now, what I use is Citadel's contrast paints. But the contrast paints weren't actually designed to be a speed paint. They were just, people use them that way because like it makes painting faster, but they weren't really designed that way. And so these, it sounds like I was talking to one of the guys at Army Painter and he was telling me about these things, and this guy was like, he was a world-class painter for Warhammer 40K, I think is what he said. And he painted for just bajillions of armies and stuff, and I think he was in competitions and stuff. Anyway, he works for Army Painter now. But this guy was talking, he knows his crap about paint. And he was explaining how these things work and stuff. And I was just getting giddy. I was like, oh my God, I want to try these things out. So anyway, I'm excited to use these. I'm excited to open up the wrapping on them and actually start painting with these. I need to do that because I think it's going to be amazing. They also sent me, I don't know if I'm supposed to show you this. This is not in stores yet. But they sent me a cool thing that is going to be coming out in November or December, I think they said. I don't know if I'm supposed to show this to you because it's not out yet and I don't know what the rules are. But it looks pretty cool too. So I'm probably going to be doing a video at some point about painting. I don't know if people are interested in that sort of thing. I am not, I would say that I am probably a high-end amateur painter. That's how I would describe my painting skills. So I'm not like super great at it. I do enjoy it and stuff, but I'm probably going to make a video about painting and stuff. And I'm probably going to show, like, go over and talk about how to use this stuff right here once I experiment with it and get a little practice and stuff, because I'm excited to use this stuff. So anyway, that's like sitting right here, like as a reminder to go paint. Little guy, will you get out of the way? My piles of books and paints. Ed says he absolutely swears by Army Painter paints. Yeah. Simpatico says I miss his old painting streams. Yeah. I'm sorry, dude. Back when he'd pretend to paint. Shut up, dude. I would I know what you're talking about. I would paint a little bit, but mostly we would just talk. I would just sit there and talk and I would forget to paint. And I know what you're talking about, dude. I got so much painting done though. Holy crap. Like, even though those painting streams, I wasn't painting a whole lot, I got so much painting done, and there were so many minis of mine that got painted because of those streams. Like, it was a way to force me to paint because I was streaming and I was painting in the stream. And so it was just like, I was forced to paint. So even, yeah, in a way I miss doing that because I got so much painting done. Yeah. Dang. Any tips for running mass combat? Will, I've talked about mass combat in the past and stuff. I'm gonna give you a sleazy response. We are currently working on a mass combat system that we're going to release. Zach, do you know when we're releasing our mass combat system? Is it November or December? I know that we have it on the books. It's February. It's gonna be a while, buddy. Will, I'm sorry, it's gonna be a while. We are working on a mass combat system. Now, I know I am well aware that there are other mass combat systems out there. I don't live in a box, hole, cave, basement. I live somewhere. I know other people have made books, entire massive books about mass combat. That's not what we're doing. That's not what you need. What you, in my opinion, when you're talking about mass combat, what probably serves a dungeon master's purposes much better is a streamlined rule set. Let's do 10 pages or under if we can, that lets you run mass combat. That's what you need. You don't need a whole book on mass combat. Like, who's gonna read that? Are you gonna read that? Are your players gonna read it? Are you actually gonna have a D&D 5th edition game that has that much mass combat in it? Like, that you need an entire thick rule book for it? Like, is that what you really need? Or is mass combat gonna come up every so often in your game and you need a lightweight set of rules, 10 pages or under, that is easy to read, easy to explain, and easy to remember because you don't use them that often? I feel like that's what I would want as a dungeon master. Something easy to use, easy to remember, that isn't burdensome. Because my players, listen, if I want to run mass combat in my games, my players might not even read a 10-page PDF. I don't know if they would. Some of them would. I know some of them, like Simpaticos, you're very dedicated. I know you would. You're good. But some of my players aren't going to read it. Like, now, if I give them like an entire book on mass combat, I have zero confidence any of my players are actually going to read it. They're going to be like, Luke, come on, we're not going to read the book. Just tell us how it works as succinctly as possible. And so, in my opinion, the best thing, the most useful thing is a short system about mass combat. And that's what we're working on. So we're working on a lightweight, streamlined mass combat system that allows you to run an occasional mass combat in D&D 5th edition without burdensome rules that nobody's going to read. So that's what we're working on. It's going to come out in February. It's going to be amazing because Zach makes a lot of rules for us and he does a great job at it. So I'm confident it'll be amazing. And if it's not amazing, we're literally playtesting it. Like, my core team and I are playtesting it, and we will let Zach know if he needs to change things. Will says, my players hired 100 mercenaries to attack a castle and the session is in 2 weeks. So in that situation, I would probably play it out narratively. Just narratively role play it out. But here's the thing. Are the 100 mercenaries going to give your players the loot, or are they going to keep it for themselves? Are your players going to get any experience points from that? Like, what effort did they put forth? You know, did they go in and do anything, or are they just sitting outside and the mercenaries are attacking the castle? Because there's a point at like these are situations, right, where you have to ask yourself, are we playing the game, or did we just spend a bunch of money to hire mercenaries who are going to go play the game for us? And is that the game we want to play? So if my players hired 100 mercenaries to go attack a castle, I'm not preparing that castle. I'm not prepping an adventure. I'm literally not going to prep an adventure. It's not worth my time. I am going to run a narrative game session, and I'm just going to say, okay, cool. We got a castle and there are defenders. You know, let's just narratively describe what the mercenaries do. And it's probably not going to take very long. It might take 15 minutes. And then the castle either was defeated and the mercenaries won, or they lost and they retreated. We might have some quick die rolls for that. I might just decide what happens, you know, because you have mercenaries and people defending in the castle. Like, I would probably run that narratively. unless I had a good rule set that would actually allow me to do that easily. Come February, I hope to have that. But I don't know. The thing is that sort of thing sounds cool on paper. It sounds like a cool story to write on a Reddit post or something. I always wonder how fun that stuff actually is in an actual game, you know, because when you think of 5th edition and D&D, you think of the group, the party going in and doing these things themselves, you know, and that's half of the draw. But when you're just paying other people to do the work for you, it's like, what's the attraction to that? Like if I talk about my experiences as a player, like when I'm a player, I want to play the game. And if I were to just hire mercenaries to go in and do the adventure for me, I'm not playing the game. You know, it's like, I'm not playing the game and I want to play the game. So I don't know. I'm really have mixed feelings about that whole idea of just hiring other people to do the thing for you, because there's a point at which you have to ask, are you even playing the game at that point? You know, so I don't know. But if you had a nice lightweight rule set for mass combats, then you kind of are actually playing a game. You're playing a different game. It's not really D&D at that point. You're playing mass combat, which is different. It has nothing to do with D&D. It really is divergent, like almost 100%. You're directing armies and units and squadrons and stuff using a different rule set. You're not playing Dungeons and Dragons as we think of it. You're really not. Like Dungeons and Dragons, before it came to be, there were wargamers that were running big armies. Like that's what they did. They did mass combat. That was wargaming. And then when D&D started, the whole idea was, hey, instead of having mass armies, let's have a small adventuring group that goes into adventures and dungeons and does things on their own. Like that's how D&D came to be, you know? And so now we're like mass combat is like returning to the wargaming, the roots of having big armies and stuff, you know? It's not D&D, it's an entirely different game. Which if that's what you want to play, that's great, you know? But you have to recognize that it's a different game that you're playing, and maybe it'll be fun, maybe you'll like it. I feel like it's one of those things that perhaps in small doses would be fun, but the moment you find your D&D game is entirely revolving around mass combat, like maybe you're not playing D&D anymore, maybe it's a different game, and maybe there's a better game system that will accommodate that game if that's what you want to play. So, I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts and opinions on this sort of thing. All right, we need to take a break. Okay, we are gonna take a break. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not joined our giveaway, please, there's a link in the chat if the bot is working. Join the giveaway. It's a D&D book of your choice or store credit on the DM Lair store. So click the link, get the book, sign up. I mean, there'll be one winner. We'll pick it at the end of the stream. It's free. Just do it. It's fun. You get free crap. I mean, it's good crap, but it's crap. Also, Laircon is happening in like a month. If you want to come hang out with me and my teammates, play D&D, play board games, I would love to see you there. It would be amazing. There's a link in the chat as well where you can get more information about Laircon. It's October 7th, 8th, and 9th down in Pensacola, Florida, which hopefully will have good weather. Maybe, I don't know. But it's really cool. We have a really cool venue too that we picked out. I'm really, really excited. I can't wait to see people. That's like the reason I do it every year. I just want to see people. It's fun. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to give my cats catnip. What is Goliath Cleric doing? Did your cat step on your keyboard or something, dude? Oh my gosh. Yep, it is. I called it. His cat was jumping on his keyboard. I totally called it. All right. Here we go. Take a gander at these things. My cats are about to tear these apart. They're gonna tear these things apart. We have George the squirrel and Penguin. But we are gonna get these hopped up with legal addictive substances called catnip. And my cats are gonna go crazy. You're gonna love this. All right, let's kill the penguin. First up, the penguin. And the squirrel. Yeah, it is Bucky the Beaver. It is. But it also kind of looks like a squirrel, and we had a pet squirrel for a little bit before he went to college. So we call it a squirrel. All right, I will be back. Interestingly enough, they're not like fighting over this stuff. A lot of times they do. You're off camera. Why are you off camera? Pretty. Pretty. She's like attacking me. They were fighting over it? Really? Squirty decided to be a butt. Here we go. Squeaky, quit being a turd. What a jerk. All right. Can you do a sleazy plug as the rogue? Yeah, I probably can. What should I do a sleazy plug for? I don't know. Just pick something. Squirty stole it from Squeaky.
All right, everybody, listen up. If you don't go right now and go become a DM Lair patron, I'm gonna find you and I'm gonna do horrible things to you. Yeah, did you know that you can get high quality Dungeon Master resources, reduce your prep time, and run awesome games for your players? Yeah, go become a DM Lair patron right now, or holy crap, you're gonna be screwed.
I don't know. There you go. That's my sleazy plug as a rogue, threatening your life. If we ordered Into the Fae on the last Kickstarter, is it going to be okay? Oh, it's going to be better than okay. Are you kidding me? We are going to have, if you got Into the Fae as an add-on to this last Kickstarter that we just did, Layers and Legends, we are having Into the Fae printed by the new printer, and it's going to be way better. So we're making an improvement to it. So I can't do anything about everybody for the first Kickstarter, and I feel bad about that, but we are going to improve it going forward. That's the best I can do. So yeah, you're going to be okay. If that's what you're asking, you're going to be perfectly fine. I literally have, and here's the thing, you guys. I have like 100 books of Into the Fae left over from the first Kickstarter. And I don't know what to do with them. I'm gonna figure it out. My original plan was I would take those 100 books that are left over and use them for the second Kickstarter. Just, you know, fulfill from that. But when I saw the quality of the books, I was like, there's no way I can do that. Like, I can't do that. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with them, in all honesty. But I have a whole bunch of those books and I don't want to give them to people. I mean, I might give them for free to people maybe at some point. Maybe I can do giveaways where I do giveaways for those books. That actually is not a bad idea. But you're not going to get those books for the current Kickstarter. You're going to get the good ones. Oh yeah, bring some to Laircon. I am going to bring some to Laircon. I am doing that. Yes, I'm doing that. Sell them at conventions to save on shipping. There's no money in selling at conventions. That's not worth my time. Sitting in a booth, renting a booth and sitting in a booth to sell a few books and make like $100. No, dude, that's not worth my time. That's boring. That's dirt boring. That's like, nah, I would never do that. I would burn them all or give them away before I sat in a booth at a convention. No way, dude. I was talking to a dude once who was trying to convince me that one of the things that I should do is rent booths at conventions and go try to sell my products there. And I was like, why would I do that? I have a YouTube channel and a big mouth and stuff. Like, I don't need to do that. I didn't tell him that. I was professional and I just thanked him for his advice. I didn't actually say that to him, just for the record. But in my brain, I was like, that sounds like a bad idea. Have you ever played in a skill-based system? Not for a tabletop game. I would love to play in a skill-based system for a tabletop game. I've heard of some that were interesting a little bit to me. I think that when we're doing our one-shots, right now my Curse of Strahd game just ended, and we're eventually going to start playing a Pathfinder 2nd edition game, set in Eberron, by the way, which I love Eberron. So we're going to do Pathfinder 2nd edition as the game system that we're using, but it's going to be set in Eberron, which is a D&D 5th D&D setting, but it doesn't matter. You can use whatever rule system you want. But before we start my Eberron campaign with Pathfinder 2nd edition, we're going to do a bunch of one-shots. My players are going to run one-shot games for us. And at least one of them, I'm certain, said that the game system he's running is a skill-based game system. It might be Savage Worlds, but I'm not totally certain about that. But anyway, I'm pretty sure one of them is a skill-based system. So I'm looking forward to that because the idea of a skill-based system as opposed to a class-based system, or I'm sorry, as opposed to a class-based system and a level-based system, I think is really appealing to me. Like the idea that you can just have your character and you level up certain skills and those skills customize what you can do and define your abilities is really appealing to me. As opposed to, hello, I'm picking a class and everything that I can do in the game is defined by that class. Like, I don't know, there's something just kind of appealing. No, Call of Cthulhu. I've played Call of Cthulhu before, several times. And Call of Cthulhu is a skill-based game. There are no classes in Call of Cthulhu. It's all skill-based. So I have played a skill-based game before. And I like Call of Cthulhu. I really like Call of Cthulhu. I think the mechanics and everything are wonderful. The game mechanics for Call of Cthulhu are great. I love it. I love it. Yeah, it's really, really cool. F-A. Oh. F-A? Hi. Can I only say hi bye? Yeah, you can, but don't go anywhere. Stay around. Stick around. Have fun. I hope 1D&D ends up being more skill based. Yeah, that would be cool. It would be cool. Effa? Okay, thank you. Effa. Stick around, Effa. You're working on calculus homework while listening and thinking about making 30-minute mini sessions for my players. Well, that's sweet. What kind of calculus? Is it Calc 1, 2, or 3? Calc 1 was really easy. Calc 2 wasn't that bad. Calc 3, so when I was doing, I did Calc 1, Calc 2, Calc 3, and then differential equations. And Calc 1 was super easy. It's like, this is brain dead, let's do this. Calc 2 was like, okay, I have to think now. When I got to Calc 3, that was when, because I got like a 4-point and a 4-point in Calc 1 and 2. Those were not that bad. When I got to Calc 3, I was like, okay, I could get a 4-point in this class if I put in a lot of time and effort and really studied hard and learned this stuff and practiced a lot. Because in Calc 3, you got into 3-dimensional shapes and stuff. And that was when things got way more complicated. And I was like, okay, if I really work hard, I can keep my 4-point. This is college, right? But if I could easily get a 3-5, no questions asked. And it would take me, it was the whole idea of diminishing returns, right? My diminishing returns and the asymptote that I was approaching. And so I was like, if I just study, if I do like Luke bare minimum, I can get a 3-5 without, I still have to study and put in effort, but not a whole lot. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just be okay with the 3-5 for this class. I'm just going to get a 3.5 and I'm going to be okay with it because I don't feel like putting more effort in. And I had a full-time job and a family at that point. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to have to be okay with the 3-5. It's just life. That's what it's going to be. And then I got the differential equations, and differential equations was easier than Calc 3 for some reason, even though it's different. It was way different. But it was a similar situation where I was just kind of like, 3.5 is okay. I'll just be okay with 3.5, I guess. So anyway, that's my calc story, I guess. Okay, Aoife, goodbye. Have a nice evening. You gotta go to work? That sucks. Yeah, we have live streams every week, so always another. Matthew Chamberlain says, I thought Calc 3 was easier than 1 or 2. Really? That's so interesting. I think in 3D blows my wife away when I do it in my head. I don't think there are Patreon tags in YouTube chat. Like, there's no way to designate yourself as a patron in YouTube chat. Like, everybody that has those little images, like if you look at Owen and Penguin Butt and Goliath Cleric, they have those little like dragon heads and stuff next to them. That's because they're YouTube channel members. When you become a YouTube channel member, you get those cool little symbols next to your name. That has nothing to do with Patreon. It's totally distinct. You can, right below the stream somewhere, there should be a button for becoming a member or being a member. And then you get some little tiny perks. It's in all honesty, becoming a YouTube channel member is not worth your money. Like, if you want to get actual good stuff, you should become a patron. If you become a patron, you're gonna get Lair magazine, lots of really cool stuff. You're way better bang for your buck by becoming a DM Lair patron. If you become a YouTube channel member from my channel, you're just gonna get that thing next to your name, which maybe that's all you want, and that's fine. But that's kind of all you get. So there's not a whole lot there. We really prioritize giving stuff to our patrons. Cedric says, I was such a distraction from D&D. Sorry, guys. It doesn't matter. I don't mind talking about other stuff. We don't have to only talk about D&D. What did you teach? So when I was a teacher, I taught English, I taught mathematics, and I think I did a psychology class once. I taught Bible classes. What else did I teach? It was mostly math, English, and Bible. And then there were like other classes peppered in. It was high school classes. It was all high school. And so the math wasn't hard. It's high school math. high school math isn't hard. It's like, you know, whatever. And then English is English. Although I will say that the English classes I taught, the curriculum that we used was way more challenging than the curriculums that are used here in the US. I was teaching overseas, and we learned real grammar. And we did, obviously there was reading and stuff, and they had spelling and stuff like that too. But it was like real. It was real English with real grammar, not just kind of like, in a way, the English classes here in the US, the ones that I'm aware of, and obviously I don't know all of them. I have a very limited experience with the ones that I am aware of. They're just kind of like meh. So I don't know. What is real grammar? Real grammar. Let me show you real grammar. Let me see if I can find that book. Here we go. Oh baby. Let's look at real grammar. Let's talk about prepositional phrases and indirect. Oh, where's my camera? Coffee cam. Okay, this is real grammar. Okay, let's talk about some real grammar. Okay, inside of, outside of, omit the preposition of. Incorrect. The believers were left outside of the ark. Real grammar. Okay. Do not use the expressions and, who, and whom, or and, unless a parallel, who, whom, or which clause has preceded it in the sentence. Okay, real stinking grammar. Parallelism. We're looking for parallelism. You know, these are things that you don't teach in school these days. You know, do not omit necessary prepositions and conjunctions. We learn about prepositions, we learn about conjunctions, we learn about run-on sentences, and we learn about comma splices. We learn about independent clauses and dependent clauses. We learn about prepositional phrases, participial phrases, and those sorts of things. We learn about when you have to put commas in things, misplaced modifiers. Okay, this is huge for clarity's sake. If you have a misplaced modifier, your sentence could be read differently. You know, like this is like tons of this type of stuff, you know, objective case, nominative case. You know, these are the types of things, like this is pure hardcore grammar that if you understand it and know it, like improves your writing by leaps and bounds and makes things more intelligible and understandable, you know? And so this is the sort of thing, you know, that we would teach, and kids would learn. Now, this sort of thing, diagramming sentences, was always optional. Like, I didn't require my students to know this because I thought it was kind of like, you know, it was extra credit on all the tests that I did for the sentence diagramming. Okay, explicatives and stuff like that. This is what I mean by hardcore grammar, like real grammar. This is the grammar that probably isn't taught in very many schools in the US these days, but that if you know it and learn it, can be immensely helpful and improve your writing and your editing skills and everything by leaps and bounds, you know. And this is probably my absolute favorite grammar book that I love. I mean, I like CMOS Chicago Manual of Style, but if I want pure grammar, like this is the book right here. This is the book I go to. So anyway, there you go. That's what I mean by real grammar. You got me on a little tangent right there. The level of nerd has reached grammar. What does that mean? The diagramming was required at my school, was it? Okay, cool. Oh, Don remembers diagramming sentences. Cool. All right, let's hit some more questions here. We got a bunch of them. Restarting a campaign after a long hiatus. A lot going on in it, and the players seem to really enjoy that, but I'm worried that I won't be able to cut it. Any tips for getting back on track?
Like, just start. Try to pick, if your players enjoyed the campaign when you left off, try to pick up where you left off and just do the best you can. As you run the game, you'll get back into the swing, you'll remember some of the things, you know, and probably the pressure of running the game is going to motivate you to remember and learn and figure out what was going on and get back into the swing of things. You know, it seems intimidating, but if you don't take the first step, then, you know, nothing will come of it. So take the first step, get into it, and just give it a go. And you know what? If it's been a while, chances are your players don't remember everything either. And so if you forget some things and screw some things up, it's probably not that big of a deal because they probably don't remember. And if they do remember, they might tell you, and then you're like, oh yeah, and then you start playing things. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. If you guys were having fun and doing it, just try to do it again. You know, you'll figure it out, and it won't be that big of a deal. You don't feel like you have to just do a fresh restart. If you guys were having fun with the last campaign, you can just pick it up and go. Kalium says, 5e player of 10 years. Okay, so you've been playing 5th edition for 10 years. Finally dungeon mastering my first campaign on Saturday. How do you tell the voice in the back of your head that people aren't going to enjoy it to shut up? You just tell them to shut up. You have to not care. Like you have to you have to divorce yourself as much as possible from that need or desire in you to please people. You have to not care about that. You have to, you know, desensitize yourself to that desire and that feeling, you know. The whole idea of pleasing people and trying to make people happy, you have to like become in some way emotionally detached from that. You're still going to try and run a game that people will enjoy, and you're going to do your best. And it's not that you don't care if they have fun or they don't have fun, but you need to like disconnect your own feeling of worth and satisfaction in yourself from whether people have fun or don't have fun. And I can't tell you how to do that. There are probably some tricks and stuff I just don't know, but essentially you have to just not give a crap. You just have to not give a crap. Like, but you do, but you don't. Like, you give a crap in the sense that you're going to prep and you're going to do your darndest to run an awesome game. But if they don't enjoy it and it falls flat, you have to not give a crap. You have to just be like, well, whatever, that's what it was, and it wasn't good, but I'm not going to feel bad about it. I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to try to do better next time, but I'm not going to feel bad about it. I'm not going to beat myself down, because if you give a crap too much, then you find yourself in this self-defeating spire, you know, where you're just kind of like spiraling down into the depths of despair. And you're never going to run a good game if that's where you're headed. Like, if you're spiraling down and you're just like, woe is me and I suck and I'm horrible and blah, 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 you're never going to run a good game and nobody's ever going to have fun. Like, you can't go there. You can't go there. Nothing good happens there, you know? And so you have to do your best and you have to prep and you have to try to run an awesome game. But ultimately, you have to not give a crap and just, hey, if they don't like it, they don't like it. I'm not going to feel bad about that. I'm going to try to improve and do better next time. I'm going to learn from it, but I'm not going to beat myself up and I'm not going to feel bad about that, because that doesn't help you. It's not helpful. It's not good. It's, you know, it doesn't do any good for you. It just leads you to bad places and you're not going to go anywhere good from there. I don't know. That's what I think. I don't know how helpful that is. Hey, new to the channel, was wondering what tools you use when creating worlds or campaigns, certain websites, notepads, notebook only. How do you keep track of everything? Thanks in advance. OneNote is what I use. You could also use Evernote as well. So I'm just gonna show you really quick. We'll do a quick little. I've shown this before. So basically, I have OneNote and
I have different notebooks set up for different game worlds, different settings. My cat is going crazy back here. Mommy, knock it off. That's a little girl. Little girl, calm down. She's gotten to the catnip and now she's going crazy back there. And then I have different notebooks that are set up for the different campaigns that I run, the Ancient Dragon campaign, Curse of Strahd campaign, and some other campaigns that I ran as well. And I just have a bunch of different notes, you know, they're all over the place. You know, they're just everything, you know, it's like groups and NPCs. I just have notes all over the place, you know, and it's all organized so I can find it quickly. I have a system that I use that works for me. Yeah, it's Tortellini. Yeah, Tortellini's going crazy. Yeah. And then I have tons of notes about the different worlds that I create, you know. So it's just, you find something that works for you and you have a level of organization to it that helps you find stuff quickly. But this is what I do. I just take a bunch of notes and I plan stuff and I prep it out. And it works. But you don't have to use this, right? You can use Evernote, or you could use notebooks, or you could use Word documents and file folders. I've found OneNote to be useful because it syncs automatically across all my devices, which is the same for Evernote if you get Evernote. And so I can make notes here on my computer and it goes to my iPad. It goes to my laptop. So whatever I happen to have at the game or wherever I happen to be, I kind of have all my notes that it's in OneNote and it's all there. If I forget some of my physical notebooks and stuff, when I go to a game, I'm in trouble if my notes are in there. But if everything's in OneNote, I mean, I've never forgotten my iPad, you know, to a game. If I did, I'd really be in trouble. So that's what I use. I already answered that question. Luke, where can I get that grammar book? Let's see if we can find that grammar book. I'm going to do a quick Google search and see if it can be found. What is it called? Handbook of Grammar and Composition. I think I just found it on Amazon. I literally just found it on Amazon. This is an old one. Here's the 3rd edition. Which edition do I have? Hold on. I found it on Amazon. I have the 3rd edition. So I have the 3rd edition. It was made last updated in 1981. But you know what? English grammar hasn't changed in a while, so this is probably good enough. I'm gonna put a link in the chat for you, Penguin. Give me a hot second. Give me a hot second. I'm gonna throw a link in the chat. Okay, cool. I just threw a link in the chat for you. That's the book. That's literally the book right there. Fucked on Honix worked for me. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. I love that grammar book. I think it's so straight to the point and really helps with the stuff you really need to know. It's a really, really good book. Like Chicago Manual of Style technically kind of has the same information, but it's not as usable. You know, it's not nearly as helpful and usable. So that's the one I would recommend. All right, let's get rid of that. Does anyone know a good place to get Pathfinder 2nd edition, homebrew modules, etc.? I don't. Maybe somebody in chat, maybe someone on my Discord can help you with that. I personally don't know. How would you build a dwarf battle ranger? I have no idea. I don't play the game like as a player very often, so I don't really know too much about that sort of thing. A battle rager is probably a barbarian. A battle rager feels like a barbarian that wears armor. So probably what I would do is I would start off with probably 2 levels of fighter, and then I would do barbarian after that, and you would wear armor. So you're not going to benefit from the barbarian's like unarmored defense, but you would get benefits of the rage. So that's, and then probably what I would ask my dungeon master if I could have homebrewed special plate armor that it has spikes on it and stuff, and I can attack with the spikes. And so we'd probably have to do a little bit of homebrewing, but I think 2 fighter and then rest in barbarian might work pretty well. Or you could just do straight barbarian and wear armor too, but I don't know that barbarians can wear heavy armor. So that's why I'm thinking a splash and 2 fighter might be the way to go. So I probably, if I were doing it, and I would yeah, that's probably how I would do it. Something along those lines, just off the top of my head. What's your opinion on premium box sets like Beetle and Grimm's? I'm not familiar with Beetle and Grimm's. What is that? Is that... I don't know what that is. Beetle and Grimm's? Premium box sets. Holy crap, $500? Okay, let's take a look at this. Oh, jeez, good gravy. So I'm looking at this right now. I just found Beetle and Grimm's. And the one I was looking at was the Spelljammer box set is $500. Woo-wee, boy! What's in this thing? Is it gonna tell me what's in it? Because sometimes you go to these sites and they don't actually tell you what you get. So it's just using a Shopify store. Okay. I don't know what I'm getting. I'm getting some rings and some things like this. Oh, okay, here we go. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna get. Collector's edition box. Okay, cool. Exploded books. I don't know what that means. I don't know what exploded book is. A DM screen. Okay, cool. Pre-generated characters. Okay. Encounter cards and ship cards to show. Okay. A booklet of 4 bonus encounters. Okay. 9 in-world handouts to give your play. Handouts are cool. I like handouts. I don't know what. Now, some handouts are better than others, right? A map tube with 6 original battle maps. Okay. In-world realm space map. That could be cool. Deck maps. 20 all-new Spelljammer Adventures in Space magic item and spell cards. Okay. 40 amazing in-world art. I'll be the judge of what's amazing and what's not. In-world artifacts, including a ring of shooting stars, and okay, so those are these artifacts that you actually get. Okay. 20 specifically curated WizKids pre-painted Spelljammer minis in their own collector's box. Okay, so a bunch of minis. Once it's gone forever. No one needs. Okay. Geez, I don't know. I feel like for $500. For $500, what you're really buying is the exclusivity of it. You're really buying the fact that it's a collector's edition, and once they're gone, you can't get them again. Except for on eBay, of course. They will be available on eBay. In fact, I guarantee you that a whole bunch of people literally buy these just to resell them on eBay for more money than they bought them for in the future. I guarantee you that people do that. I don't know if there's... I feel like the actual value is probably mostly in the exclusivity and the collector's edition idea. Because you're not actually getting content and stuff that justifies a $500 price tag. You're not actually getting $500 worth of stuff. What you're getting is the fact that there's only so many of them and you have one of them. So you're getting like bragging rights. This is like snob appeal, basically, in a way. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure people buy them. I would never spend $500 on something like this. I'll get a alt cover. Like I'm a sucker for alt covers because an alt cover is like $20 more than the normal cover, because the normal cover I can get on Amazon for $30. The alt cover I have to pay $50 for, you know, at a game shop. So I'll do an alt cover because that's not a big deal. But when you're talking about, you know, getting Spelljammer for $50 on Amazon versus $500, that's 10 times more expensive. You know, it's very expensive. But if they've been doing this for a while, which I assume they have been, then first of all, there's a big margin. They have a huge margin. The margin on this product is gigantic. So there's probably about like $50 worth of cost into the actual physical products that are in this, you know, product itself. And so you have a $450 margin. Obviously you have overhead and you have shipping costs and stuff like that, but you have a big fat margin on this product. So they don't have to sell a lot of them to make a tidy profit, you know. So, and they're probably doing okay. If they've been doing this for a while, they're probably a market for this and people buy this, you know. There's always whales out there that will buy stuff like this because they want it and they must have it, and that's fair, you know. I'm not gonna buy it though. The IP of the creator should be reimbursed. Yes. Yeah, I'm not sure where you're going with that. Like, the creators is Wizards, so Beetle and Grimm is, if they're not a subsidiary of Wizards, they certainly have a licensing agreement with Wizards so that they can make these products. And so I'm sure Wizards gets a cut of this too. 100% guarantee you. That's probably part of their licensing agreement. All right, my players are wanting a more combat-oriented game with maps and the like, but I only have done theater of mind. Any advice or videos of yours that you would recommend for this? Oh, wow. Yeah, if you look at, could one of my moderators put a link to my other YouTube channel, the DM Lair streams? If you look at my Curse of Strahd campaign, it uses maps and minis, and probably the best thing for you if you've never done maps and minis, you've only done theater of mind, is just to watch a game being played with maps and minis. And my games tend to be fairly heavy on combat. We do everything. There's social interactions, there's exploration, but we are heavy on combat. My games trend that way. And so if you look at my Curse of Strahd game, you're going to see what I think is probably the type of game that your players are asking for, where you use maps and minis and you have a good amount of combat. Now, when we first started doing Curse of Strahd, we did everything on Zoom and Roll20. So those recordings are gonna be spectacular. You're gonna be able to literally see how we are moving all of the tokens and stuff on the maps and how I'm running the game with maps and minis. It's going to be very, very nice for you. Once we go to in person, the video doesn't show a whole lot of the maps and minis, so it's not going to be quite as useful. You're still going to be able to see me running the game, but not the maps and minis as much. So my recommendation for you is, if you want a good example of using maps and minis to run a combat-oriented game, then look at my earliest videos of Curse of Strahd, and you're going to see a lot of that. So that would be probably my biggest recommendation, is just to go watch somebody else do it, and then you're going to kind of see how it's done, and you're going to learn that it's not that big of a deal. It's not that bad. So I think that's probably my biggest recommendation. I don't know that I've done a video on how to run map and minis games. Kevin says, what is the rant for today? I don't think we've had a rant today. Eshith, thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I did that. I answered that one. What are your thoughts on one D&D suggesting DMs don't crit? And here I just said that I don't think we're going to have a rant for today. So what do I think about one D&D saying that dungeon masters can't crit? Wizards of the Coast, you can kiss my hairy white butt. I am going to crit. You are not taking my critical hits away from me. Screw that. Go sit on a stalagmite. I am going to critical hit. I will never use that rule. I will never implement that rule. I don't give a flying crap. I will burn all my books before I use that rule. Screw that crap. I get excited when I roll an nat 20, when I have a critical hit. I get giddy. It's I have fun. I love it. It's great. One of my players in my Curse of Strahd game was playing that cleric that has the ability to negate critical hits. Is it Grave Domain or something? I can't remember what it was, but he could negate critical hits. It wasn't Grave Domain. It was something. I don't know. And I'll tell you what, man. When he negated my critical hits, I was just kind of like, every time I would get excited, and then he would be like, Luke, I'm gonna negate that critical hit. And I'm just like, oh my. So no, I think that's just absolute horsewash and garbage. You're not taking my critical hit away from me, dude. Screw that crap. They're like, well, you can kill players off. Dude, how far are you guys gonna go to water this game down so that that death is completely impossible? Combat is meaningless without the possibility of death. Like, there's no, if you're always gonna win and there's no possibility for death or defeat or anything, like, how easy are you gonna make this game? They're like, well, at early levels, critical hits from the dungeon master could kill characters. And it's like, yeah, who cares? That's the game. Like, isn't that fun? Isn't that enjoy? Like, who plays a game and just steamrolls the whole thing and that's fun for you? Like, maybe there are those games, but hey, isn't a challenging game sometimes enjoyable? Like, there is no meaning in combat if there's no possibility for defeat. There's no meaning. It's pointless. It's a foregone conclusion that we're gonna win, so why play the game? Like, when you can't die and you can't be defeated, like, I don't know why I'm playing this game. Like, I love dungeon masters who are willing to inflict pain and misery and suffering on you. Like, when they don't pull punches and they make the game a little bit challenging, and like, people die and you might have a TPK. Like, this is one of the reasons that I enjoy playing in Zach's game. Like, Goliath Cleric right here, he runs a game for us and we're playing this Friday. And one of the reasons I enjoy playing with this dude is that they don't pull punches. Like, we literally TPK'd a few sessions ago. And I'm like, this is great. And he's killing my characters. He's killing other characters. And I'm just like, this is the game I want to play in. Now, we don't die all the time. And we don't TPK all the time because too much is probably not going to be enjoyable either. But when the possibility for defeat and death exists, it makes the game more exciting. It makes the game more fun to play. I did a video on this topic like a couple years ago, and this is not the trend that the game is going toward. 5th edition is not a challenging game. It is not a deadly game. 5th edition has made it so that it's almost impossible to die. Like, the way they have their death saving throws set up and dropping to 0 hit points and being able to get back up when you get healed or on a healing word, they've made it almost impossible to die, and I did a video a while ago talking about Tracy Hickman's thoughts. He had, like, his manifesto and stuff like that, or it's what people dubbed the manifesto. I did a video on that and talked about that before too, and the idea that you never die and stuff, and that's not something that Tracy purported, by the way. It just came up in that video. I don't want to, like, assign blame or anything, because I'm not. I'm on Tracy's side for what it's worth. But anyway, the idea that you just never die, and that it's meaningless. The game is meaningless if there's no opportunity for death. So I don't know. That's kind of where I stand on that. And so in my opinion, the whole idea of taking away critical hits from the Dungeon Master is just furthering that trend in making the game safer and taking away any possibility of defeat at all. You know, it's just like, okay, we're just gonna put the training wheels back on, you know, put the safety helmet on and like, you know, the gloves and stuff, so that we don't want you to scrape your knees, you know, or get a bloody nose or anything like that, because that would just be traumatic for you. And we want this to be just safe, and don't worry about your character dying. And oh my gosh, if the Dungeon Master rolls a critical hit at level 1, it could kill you. And oh geez, let's just it's like, oh my gosh, how far do we have to go, man? Yeah, it's like candy canes and unicorns, dude. Just like happy go. It's like, come on. Can we play a game that's somewhat challenging? Like, seriously. So to answer your question, that's how I feel about Wizards of the Coast taking away critical hits from Dungeon Masters. As I said, they can kiss my hairy white butt. I'm not doing it, ever, ever. Where'd my piece of paper go? Oh, there it is. I found it. Okay, I found it. Mark that one, mods. Draco, hello. It says I'm new to becoming a DM. You are in the right place, dude. You are in the right place. This channel is full of videos with useful information to help you, dude. We have a Discord as well that you should join that has lots of helpful people that can help you as well. We do these live streams like every week where you can ask questions and stuff. So if you're a new Dungeon Master, we have what you need, hopefully, and we can help you, man. So you are in the right place, dude. I just got the coffee grinds in the bottom of my cup. Thank you, coffee. I literally ordered a new coffee maker. My coffee maker is like dying right now. It's like, it leaks water, so when I make tea, I heat water up in it as well to make tea. And when I heat water up, or I actually make coffee, which I don't drink a lot of coffee anymore, but when I actually do make coffee or tea or hot water or whatever, it leaks water. So like tons of water just leaks out of it. So it's totally destroyed. So today I ordered a new coffee maker. Hopefully it fixes the problem of grinds in my coffee too. Please, if you have not got in on the giveaway yet, we are doing a giveaway tonight. There's a link in the chat where you can sign up for it. It's totally free. We are literally about to draw the winner to the giveaway right now. So please go in there and sign up for it. You have a chance to win a D&D book of your choice, or store credit on the DM Lair store. So it's good stuff. You know, you can't, I mean, you can lose, but you might win. I'll draw that in just a couple seconds here. I'll give some people some time to sign up. Kirby, dude, thank you so much for the tip, man. I appreciate that. $50, baby. Look at that. We are almost at our goal of raising $500 for the Capital Area Humane Society. Thank you so much, Kirby. I appreciate that, dude. And of course, Kirby got their name up on the top. Kirby's like, hey, let's get my name right there. Thank you very much. And here's some money for the cats and kitties that the Capital Area Humane Society helps support and do awesome stuff for. So thank you, Kirby. I appreciate that. Kirby, we're playing D&D like this Saturday, right? I need your character and stuff, dude. Like, I need you to make your character in D&D Beyond and join Roll20 and stuff so that we can play game. We can play D&D. So thank you, Kirby. I know you're busy. Kirby like works crazy hours and stuff, so I know you're busy, dude. If you guys don't know about Laircon, don't forget about Laircon. It's coming up in October 7th, 8th, and 9th. It's in Pensacola, Florida. I'll be there. My team will be there. We're gonna be playing D&D, tabletop games and stuff. I would love to meet you. So please look at that. I'm just like running through my list of like sleazy plugs, giving you time to sign up for the giveaway. And now I'm gonna go draw the winner to the giveaway. All right, here we go. You guys ready? Draw winners. Here we go. Here we go. All right, let's see. Gotta make sure this is a valid entry. Want to make sure nobody's cheating around here. Okay, looks good. Cullen Anderson. Cullen Anderson, you are the winner. I will be sending you an email soon, so you can tell me which you would like. So congratulations, dude. If you're still here and you can hear it, congratulations. He's still there. Excellent. Wonderful. Yeah, dude. Look for my email, man, and we'll get you hooked up. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're finished. We are done. I'm gonna leave now. I bid you fond adieu. Have a wonderful time. We'll be here again next week on a stream on Friday. So if I didn't get to your question, I did pretty well though. I got through quite a bit of those questions on there, but feel free to stop back in another stream and we will talk and answer questions and I will rant about things. You know, it was fun. We ended on a fun rant. I'm so happy. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.